Here we go. Time for another mock draft. Welcome into Fantasy Baseball today. You are listening to this on Thursday, March 5th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White and Chris Towers. Today on the show, we have ourselves a live head-to-head points mock draft, and here are the details. 12 teams, 4 of which have the first name Chris, so that will not be confusing at all. Chris Towers is drafting 3rd, Scott is 9th, and I am 12th. This is a standard head-to-head format on CBS, so it's a shallower roster than we are used to, comparatively to Roto, but 1 of each infield position, 3 outfielders, 1 utility spot, 5 starting pitchers, 2 relief pitchers, and then 5 bench spots. Just a quick reminder of the scoring format. On the hitter side, we have 1 point for each of a single, walk, hit by pitch, run, and RBI, 2 points for a double or a steal, 3 for a triple, 4 for a home run, and minus half a point for a hit or strikeout, and -1 for a caught stealing. On the pitching side, it's 3 points per inning, 3 per quality start, 7 for a save, 7 for a win, half a point per pitcher strikeout, -1 for each of a walk, earned run, hit allowed, hit by pitch, and then -5 for a loss. So I'm sure that was not confusing at all, but in case you needed a reminder of what our scoring system is, you have it now. And Scott, with that, you can fire this bad boy up.
All right, firing it up. Peter Clement with the first pick. And we'll see if he goes Judge or Ohtani.
That is certainly the chalk, and it is Aaron Judge first overall. By the way, we are live right around 10 p.m. Eastern time here on Wednesday night, and 6 minutes away from the first pitch in the World Baseball Classic. Chinese Taipei going up against Australia. So we'll have a little Travis Bazzana on in the background here while we do this mock draft. Number 2 pick, Shohei Ohtani. And Chris, you are up.
That's usually what happens after the first 2 picks is the 3rd pick comes up, and it is my pick.
Don't make it one of those nights, Chris. Come on now.
I don't know what I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I rank it Ramirez, so that's what I'm gonna do. But it should probably be Soto, right? I probably need to.
I was curious to see what you do here. I set this draft up.
Yeah.
I put you in the 3rd spot because I was like, I don't know what Chris is gonna do there.
Yeah, I asked the chat. Everybody said Soto except for one person. Thank you, Oxnava.
Crowdsourcing the 3rd overall pick. You call yourself an expert.
Whoa. I have never said I know what I'm talking about. All right. If anybody thinks I know what I'm talking about, that is their problem. Not mine. Don't put that evil on me.
That's not in your
Ramirez.
FBT newsletter byline is fantasy expert Chris Towers.
No, I actually put in the subject line of every email, ignore this, I don't know what I'm talking about. And then 4,000 words.
All right.
I think there is actually a case for Ramirez over Soto as good as Soto is in this format. And I'm not saying I would take Ramirez over Soto because Soto is amazing in this format.
Yeah.
But the case would be 9 hitter spots. Like this, yep. We're talking when we were reviewing my Tout Wars team, like you're not going to get out of a 15-team Roto draft without being weak somewhere or multiple somewheres, but you can get out of a draft like this without being weak anywhere, and filling 3rd base early is the best way to ensure that.
And especially in a 3 outfielder league, I think there's more risk in filling up your outfield too early than waiting too long for your outfield. There are going to be viable outfielders for a long time in this draft just because of how wide that kind of, 25 to 50 range is, where there's just not that much differentiating a bunch of those guys. So I'm sticking with Ramirez, but it's one of those ones where I haven't actually had to make the decision. And once I was faced with it, I mean, last year Soto outscored Ramirez by about 60 points in this format, which it was like 57 points, I think, which is big for sure. But if you think Soto is going to be more like a 10 to 15 stolen base guy than his, 38, 36 last year, that's most of it. Like that's most of the difference right there. So I think it's totally defensible to go with either one.
To your point, just the year prior in 2024, when Soto had, 10 or 12 steals, they both averaged 4.1 fantasy points per game, Jose Ramirez and Juan Soto. So after you took J-Ram, Soto was the next pick, followed by Tarek Skubal, Bobby Witt, Ronald Acuna, Kyle Tucker, and Scott, you are up with 7 seconds left.
Okay, so those are exactly the players I thought would go in the top 8. I gave myself the 9th pick when I set up this draft because I wanted to test whether it, particularly in a shallower lineup, a smaller lineup league like this, where you don't have a lot of versatility in your lineup spots, if I could really justify taking Kyle Schwarber in round 1. So that's who I take in with the 9th overall pick. Obviously, you don't worry about his 1 weak point batting average in a head-to-head points league, and he has been a points league monster. Last year, 3.84 points per game. That is actually a little more than Jose Ramirez. He was 3.82. So, like, by the production, I think Schwarber clearly a first-round pick. How much should he be discounted for that lack of versatility? I don't know. We'll see if filling my utility spot in round 1 of a league like this is something I regret, and if so, maybe I won't have Schwarber ranked this high moving forward.
All right, Scott took Schwarber, followed by Paul Skeens and Julio Rodriguez. I am here on the turn. One of my picks will be Garrett Crochet, and then if I just follow my rankings, Fernando Tatis Jr. is the highest ranked player here. There are a few names here that get devalued in a points league. Ellie De La Cruz a little bit. Gunnar is fine. Vlad Jr. fine.
Fernando Tatis is fine.
Obviously very good. Looking at it now, maybe I should have Cal Raleigh higher in a points league just because he's really good OBP and obviously gives you that catcher standout. But
he's top ranked for me here, Frank. You gonna do it?
No. I'm going to take Fernando Tatis. We'll see if his OBP skills carry over. Last year, the highest walk rate of his career.
Well, yeah, like
he's not a mega standout, but 3.5-ish points.
Oh, he was last year. Cal Raleigh, you mean?
No, I was talking about Tatis.
Okay, because Cal Raleigh, 622 points last year is phenomenal. That's incredible.
Yeah, but
that's 212 points more than he had ever had before. He was a pretty...
we're all expecting regression.
Yeah, he was a pretty run-of-the-mill catcher in this format before. I mean, not. Like, he was very good, but he wasn't a standout in this format before last season.
All right, so we are into the second round here. I let it off with Fernando Tatis to go along with my Garrett Crochet, then Vlad Jr. and Junior Caminero.
Boy, he is...
Caminero!
I'm sorry for interrupting, Scott. He is really enjoying wearing the Dominican Republic jersey. He has, 6 batted balls over the past 2 games that they've done exhibitions in, and they're all 108 miles an hour. It's been very fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. All right, Scott, you were up. You said at the turn.
I really hoped Raleigh was taken. I really hoped Raleigh was taken here because I wanted to go Schwarber and Ketel Marte. But I can't justify to myself taking Marte over Raleigh. At least, putting together rankings in a vacuum like I've done so far. So this will be a fun test too, because my big contention, one of my biggest contentions at catchers this year is it's 17 deep in worthwhile starters. So in one catcher leagues especially, you can just wait forever and take whoever's left at the end of the draft. Cal Raleigh, I think, clearly stands out from the other 16. So you do get an advantage by going the extra mile for him, but you're not filling thinner positions early in the draft. You're filling one of the most plentiful positions at the start of the draft. So now I have a DH and I have a catcher to begin my draft. And
that makes for a very interesting roster.
Yeah. So this will be... I wanted Ketel Marte there, and the way I saw it going in my head, that's who I was going to take. But Raleigh, I think, deserves to go first. If I end up hating this build, though, I may change it for position scarcity reasons.
After Scott selected Cal Raleigh, there was Ketel Marte. Gunnar Henderson at 18 feels really nice. Corbin Carroll still working his way back from the hamate bone, but starting to swing a bat and could be ready for opening day. Goes at pick 19, followed by Ellie De La Cruz, who should see a bit of a discount in a head-to-head points league. So typically in roto or categories, Cruz goes in that 7 to 10-ish range, but here in a points league goes 20th overall. And Chris, you are on deck, and you've got yourself some J-Ram already.
Yeah, this is not a great part of the draft once you get to the second round, especially in a points league. There's a real drop-off after.
I was noticing that with the OBP league for Tout Wars last night too. Is like there becomes fewer second round caliber hitters because it kind of takes Trey Turner out of the mix. I think it definitely takes Jackson Churio out of the mix.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Nick Kurtz was the pick right before you, so now you're on the clock.
Yeah, Nick Kurtz was going to be the pick for me. I'm struggling with it. I think I'm going to play the positional scarcity game again and take Jazz Chisholm.
Roll reversal.
And see what happens.
All right. Jazz last year was at...
It was like 3 1/3, I think, 3.3.
3.2 fantasy points per game, which is really good, obviously.
Really good, but...
I was wondering if you would go with Trey Turner just because it feels like he's perennially undervalued in points leagues. Last year, 3.5 fantasy points per game for Trey Turner. So,
I mean, I could have gone Turner. I could have gone Francisco Lindor, who is an absolute standout in this format. It's just there are just enough questions about how the hamate bone injury is going to impact him that wasn't super comfortable making the pick there.
but if there's any format to take a chance on some of these hamate bone injury players, I think shallower leagues where the replacement value is much better, it makes sense to kind of take some chances in a league like that. So I think it would have been a totally fine and defensible pick there to take Lindor. The next pick is Logan Gilbert, who is the SP4 off the board, followed by, here we go, a little bit of a pitcher run, Christopher Sanchez, and then Brian Woo into round 3. So I believe we did it was a head-to-head categories draft last week, and I think the SP4 didn't go until round 4 of that draft. And here we have, in a points league, I think pitching gets pushed up a little bit, and we see some names start to go here at the 2-3 turn. Does that make sense to you guys, or maybe should they have waited a little bit longer?
I think they should have waited a little longer, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I was about to say there were a couple of hitters I'd take over them, but there's like a whole round worth of hitters. I mean, I've been saying all along, if I don't get one of the top 3 at the 1-2 turn, I'm not considering a pitcher till round 4. And here we are at the 2-3 turn, and pitchers are going off. So,
well, as somebody who has already drafted a starting pitcher, I encourage everyone to take a pitcher so that some great hitters can make it to me at the 3-4 turn. And
that's reasonable.
Here we go. Pick number 26 is Jackson Churio, who, doesn't walk all that much. It's a lower OBP, but still dynamic with the power and speed. So I think it's fine for him to fall a little bit. This is a good range, early 3rd round for him. And Chris, you are back up. You have Jazz and J-Ram.
Yep. And I believe the top player in my rankings is a third baseman. I'm not going to do that.
Ooh, you have a few options here.
I have a few options, but I'm going to go the direction we talked about when I picked last. Get a true impact player for this format.
Or do you take your guy?
Well, so that's the thing is my guy is also a true impact player in this format. He had 530 fantasy points in 2024 in 147 games. He had 450 in 114 games in 2020. Yeah, I went on auto while I was talking, but I went with Lindor.
Did you mean to make that pick?
I had Lindor and Jordan both in my queue, but I had Lindor higher, so it's fine. Okay. I was working my way through it. And I was
Lindor
probably going to go Lindor.
Who was the other one?
Jordan Alvarez.
Jordan.
Oh, Scott has some
Chris
thoughts.
is faster than me at so many things, writing especially. But coming to a decision in drafts, I think I may have
it depends. It depends because I
can take my time too.
Yeah, you really work your way through it. I think there are definitely times when I move quicker.
So Lindor goes to Chris, and then we get Trey Turner here at pick 20. I mean, that feels like fantastic value on Trey Turner.
Yeah, I mean, it was 3.5. I was just saying he loses value in this format, and I guess he technically does, but less than you think. I think it's worse in like an OBP Roto League, like I was saying, because you don't get the extra base hits. But yeah, Turner does fine in this format. I mean, Bobby Witt was 3.57. Turner was 3.49 last year.
Check out this start here for J-Dub Molpus. Juan Soto, Nick Kurtz, and Trey Turner. That's
pretty good.
Primo right there. That is very nice. So that's a good start there. And then following up Trey Turner, we got Rafael Devers at 29, Pete Alonso. So starting to get a little bit of that first base run.
Yeah, rare to see any first baseman other than the obvious top two, Guerrero and Kurtz, go ahead of Alonso. I think Alonso is in the same tier as Olsen, Harper, Devers, Freeman. So he shouldn't be automatically the third, but he is usually.
Yeah, Devers goes one spot ahead of Alonso. I think it's defensible. I don't rank it that way, but I think it's closer than the consensus would think, especially in a points league, because Alonso, I don't know if last year was his best year ever in this format. I would guess it's not, but it was pretty close. And he only outscored Rafael Devers by like 12 points in this format, which is a totally negligible number over the course of a season. So,
yeah. So after we saw Rafael Devers, Pete Alonso, Yordan Alvarez goes to one of the four Chris's, but not Chris Towers in this one, followed by Manny Machado. And I will just point out with the first baseman, specifically Devers, if you look at NFBC ADP, you'll probably see him somewhere in the 50s, 60s, and he's dealing with the hamstring injury, but it sounds like he's progressing, and we're still, more than 3 weeks away from opening day. So I think that he'll be fine. But yeah, he typically does go earlier in these mock drafts compared to NFBC ADP that we see. Scott, you are up. The last pick was Manny Machado. I heard a slight suck of the teeth there. So
yeah.
Not sure if you were looking at him.
I was. I'm tempted to go pitcher there, even though I just got finished saying I wouldn't look at it until round 4. And I'll get back to why I was at a loss there in round 3. I was just going to take Machado, and okay, I'm going to hit a scarce position after hitting 2 deep ones, Schwarber and Raleigh 1 and 2, and that would have been easy. But since Machado went right afterward, it became not so easy. I went with Mookie Betts, who I think is still a really good points league player, really good player in general, but especially in points leagues because the strikeout rate's always low for him.
But
that's another deep position. That's another deep position. Hitting 3 deep positions here early. It's especially deep shortstop in a league with no middle infield spots. I mean, we've done some of these drafts where you get to the excess range of the shortstop rankings and nobody wants one. That happened in our head-to-head points auction. Like Trevor Story went for $2 because everybody had filled their shortstop position already.
Yeah, just for some context on Mookie, 460 points in 150 games last year. Outscored Manny Machado in points per game and was not far off from like Pete Alonso and Rafael Devers and those guys in what we all, I think is like close to a worst case scenario.
Yeah, I think he's going to be better than last year. I think that was clearly early on, especially he was the numbers were skewed by the illness he dealt with where he lost so much weight.
But had a very good September.
So after Scott selected Mookie Betts, there was Matt Olson, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and then I am up now at the 3-4 turn, and I just selected Bryce Harper with one of my picks, who typically great points league player, good eye at the plate, great OBP, obviously really good lineup, lots of plate appearances, so totally fine with that pick. And this other one I'm debating because a lot of the hitters here are typically better in a categories league. Thinking about Zach Neto, but not good plate discipline, and there are other shortstops that go later that pretty much produce similarly. So do I just double down on pitcher here and just build out a great pitching staff? I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and take Chris Sale, and I'm going to pair him up with Garrett Crochet. So I've got Sale, Crochet, Fernando Tatis, and Bryce Harper. We'll check back later and see if I kind of regret passing on some hitters here, but Not enamored with any of the hitter names left, right.
It'll be another interesting case study here, because I'm more inclined to do this in Roto. The way I've come around to phrasing it is points leagues are the more forgiving format for starting pitchers. They don't need to be that good. They need to give you volume, and they need to be good enough, but they don't need to be in that very slim group of ratio dominators that you need them to be in Roto. So in this format, I'm even more inclined to pass up early pitching. We'll see if you end up enjoying your hitting with two pitchers early.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll get Scott's pick here in the 4th round. We'll do that right after this.
This is why we do this every March.
Major slam! It is a basketball party. It's March! Expect the unexpected!
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball. Today we're here doing a live 12-team head-to-head points mock draft, and we are into round 4. Scott, you are up, and we are reminding people of your picks. You have Mookie Betts, Cal Raleigh, and Kyle Schwarber. What's next?
Freddie Freeman's next. You know, I love to take one of that tier of first baseman in the round 4 range, sometimes even around 3. And that's what my ranking said to do with my round 3 pick, where I went Mookie Betts. But I saw there were 3 people who had to pick twice before I was picking again. 2 of them had first baseman already. Harper was there, Matt Olson was there, and Freeman was there. I figured the guy who already had a first baseman would take a second. And so I'd be left with 1, probably Freeman. That's what happened. Now, if I had gone round 3, just saved that whole rigmarole and just took my best player available, Matt Olson, let's say, I would have gone Matt Olson in round 3, Geraldo Perdomo in round 4.
I mean, you might have gone Mookie Betts. There's a chance he was still
There's
there.
a chance.
His ADP is...
I would have taken Mookie Betts.
Okay. So let's...
Kind of wish you took Matt Olson, Scott.
So Matt Olson, Geraldo Perdomo was planned one way I could have gone. Instead, I went Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. I'm not sure it makes a difference. Like, Perdomo was the best of those 4 players in this format last year. Obviously, we have our doubts about him. But I don't know. I don't know for sure that I got the better combo going Betts and Freeman.
Catching people up on the 4th round. Again, I took Chris Sale with the 37th overall pick. Then Brent Rooker, Pete Crow Armstrong, Freddie Freeman, Alex Bregman, and Wyatt Langford. So Alex Bregman, we know someone who typically performs very well in the head-to-head points format. Really good OBP, great plate discipline, doesn't strike out very much. We do have some questions about how he will perform in Chicago with his swing and all that, but 4th round, is that too early for Bregman in a points league?
I think so, yeah.
For me, it is. There are 3 third basemen I would have taken ahead of him. Just beyond even where he ranks among all players. At the position itself, I have 3 third basemen ahead of him. However, it's not a slam dunk. Their point per game production last year was all very close. Bregman is the best suited among those third basemen. Like, third base, as weak as it is, it gets even weaker in points league because a lot of those players are just poorly suited for points league play. Right. But Bregman is the opposite end. He's well suited for points league. I just don't know that the upside is that great for him at this stage of his career, especially going to a venue that I think is going to hurt his power a little bit.
One thing that I'm noticing in this, and we've done a couple of head-to-head points drafts so far, but one thing I am noticing is I think you're going to see a lot of divergence from ADP in head-to-head points leagues in this range, just because there aren't really, at least to my eyes, any obvious picks to make. There's just a lot of sameness. You know, we've talked a lot about so far in this draft, you know, positional scarcity and how that impacts your approach, but there aren't a lot of, I don't think, like, if we looked at our top player available, I don't think it's going to be the same for any of us. Let me look. Nope. For Scott, it's Perdomo. For me, it's William Contreras. And for Frank, it's Zach Neto. Although, funny enough, we all have the exact same number 2 player available. So maybe that should just be the pick.
Yeah.
James Wood.
Yes.
Catching people up on picks here. After Alex Bregman went, there was Wyatt Langford, Hunter Brown, Byron Buxton, Logan Webb, who is great in the points league, just so much volume. And Chris, you selected Roman Anthony. I debated taking Roman Anthony, but people watching on YouTube, you see my draft room. He was not my top ranked outfielder.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do I need to move him up, or do I need to just draft one of these like PCA or James Wood, who's better in a categories league? It's,
there are legit questions, I think, about how good Roman Anthony's going to be. But when you compare him to some of the other outfielders going in this range, Wyatt Langford, James Wood, Picor Armstrong went ahead, Byron Buxton, in theory, his skill set is the best suited for points leagues among those guys because he should walk a lot.
Yeah.
Strikeouts might be an issue, but he's much less. Like we've talked about how Roman Anthony, there's some bust potential for roto leagues as a top 50 pick. I think there's less in a points league just because the fact that he doesn't really steal bases doesn't really matter all that much. It's a nice bonus. You do get 2 points for a stolen base. But that is, I think, he is more well-suited among the other young outfielders to really stand out in this format. And I took him for some FOMO, because I don't think I've taken Roman Anthony. And I'm going to do the same here with my round 5 pick. I'm going to pick a pitcher I have not taken. Cole Reagan's just... Did you guys watch him today?
Is that what it sounded like?
Just on a skills basis. Look, Paul Skeens, Tarek Skubal, Garrett Crochet, those guys are incredible, obviously. Cole Reagan's, you look at the stuff ratings for his pitches, you look at the results for his pitches, he is very, very close to that group in terms of skill. Obviously, there's substantial injury risk for a guy who has had multiple Tommy John surgeries, missed a lot of time last year with a shoulder injury, but just on a pure stuff basis. And the fact that, we've seen, 8-10 pitchers taken already. I feel comfortable with him in that spot.
If you guaranteed me 160 innings from Cole Reagan's this year, I would probably just rank him as the SP4. Just because I think he's that good from a talent perspective. Again, that's Cole Reagan's that we're talking about. Catching people up on picks here. Again, Chris took Roman Anthony back in round 4 at pick 46. Then we got Max Fried, Geraldo Perdomo. Now we're into round 5 where we get Austin Riley, Ben Rice, Cole Reagan's, Framber Valdez, and O'Neal Cruz. So worth mentioning a few of these picks here. Austin Riley, typically better in a categories league. He's not great plate discipline, but I get it because third base, the scarcity there.
He's not great in a points league, but we've already seen Alex Bregman go. Riley's one of the 3 that I would have taken ahead of him. I think there's more upside, more downside too, as we saw last year for this format, but more upside.
Yep. And then with O'Neal Cruz going 53rd here, he strikes out a lot. I understand he walked a lot last season too, but really bad against lefties. I updated my points league rankings today. I think I had O'Neal Cruz around 140th or 150th.
Still too high.
This is the first pick I don't like. It was 2.62 points per game last year, which is just very middling. I'm sure it's the lowest for a hitter so far.
It was a little better the year before, but yeah.
It's hoping for improvement from Cruz, which I don't think we can rule out, but it's not what I'm counting on at this point from him. And I know you guys are even lower on Cruz than I am.
Yep. After O'Neal Cruz, we get another third baseman, Michael Garcia. That's my guy, right in my heart. James Wood, finally at pick 55, and then William Contreras. Scott, you are up. I believe you don't have a pitcher yet.
I don't have a pitcher yet. I'm not going to take a pitcher. I'm torn between 2 players here. I am going to say... I'm going to say Bryce Terang. I'm going to fill a weak position.
All right. Well, that's your guy. I mean, you've been winding up with him pretty consistently.
Yeah. And he's not usually available as late as the 5th pick of round 10, 57th overall. So I feel fine about it. There's just another player I really like, and it was torn between the two. But ultimately, I reason second base. Again, this is a league
Say the name, Scott.
No, don't do it.
We're not playing these coy games. We're here for the audience, not for your draft.
Cody Bellinger.
No.
Is the one who I think is such a good points league player that in theory I would have rather taken him. But I think I needed to fill a weak position. Only 9 hitter spots to fill. Again, you want impact from all of them. And while we talk sometimes about second base is pretty deep in interesting category specialists, some upside plays late, those aren't impact players. That is, there are very few people in a league like this who can get a differentiator at second base. And I think Bryce Terang probably is one.
All right. Well, we are catching people up. After you took Bryce Terang, there was Jackson Merrill, Zach Neto. I brought his name up at the last turn. I thought I was going to get him here. That would have been pretty crazy if he made it all the way back, but he does go one pick before at 59th, which is fine. I will select Cody Bellinger, Scott, who you mentioned. I know he's dealing with the back thing right now. He also dealt with that last spring and into April and got off to a bit of a slow start, but obviously had a fantastic season, and just the lack of strikeouts makes him so valuable in this particular format in a points league. So good with that one. And trying to figure out the next pick here.
507 points last year for Cody Bellinger. That's very good.
I know CJ Abrams is my highest ranked shortstop. I might have to update that. I don't know. In a points league,
you have 2 pitchers, right?
Yeah,
I have 2. Yeah, I have Chris Sale and Garrett Crochet. So
I think the best players right now are pitchers. So
that's they are great values. Really? You know, my 2 names at the top of my rankings here are DeGrom and George Kirby. So
7 of my top 8 players are hitters, actually.
Interesting.
All right, so I'm going to go against the grain, and maybe I just need to update this. And
against the grain and take DeGrom. Is that what you're about to say?
No, but a different Texas Ranger, Corey Seager, to lead off round 6, which is earlier than we're used to seeing. But again, this is his better format. So
yeah, he should be ahead of CJ Abrams in this format.
Yeah.
So
that's on me. My bad.
Make that change.
Yeah. And well, we just mentioned DeGrom, and there you go. He goes with the second pick of round 6, which, you know, it's interesting because we saw that kind of run start at the 2-3 turn, and then there was kind of a lull. And I mean, I think we would all agree that DeGrom is kind of he's in that second tier, but he goes in round 6 compared to some pitchers who went in round 2. So,
I don't think there's much difference between Jacob DeGrom and who were some of the pitchers taken.
Logan Gilbert, Christopher Sanchez.
Brian Wu did outscore Jacob DeGrom by about 50 points last season. I don't think Brian Wu's likely to be quite as good. Certainly the volume might be hard to replicate. So I think they're closer than their draft prices here indicates, at least.
All right. After Jacob DeGrom, there was George Kirby. And Scott, we are back to you.
So, like I said a minute ago, 7 of my top 8 players available were hitters. The only one that wasn't was DeGrom, who has since been taken. This is the first point in the draft, round 6, where taking Schwarber, filling my utility spot right away, is presented an issue. Because normally I'd go Josh Naylor here easily, even though I already have a first baseman in Freddie Freeman. Okay. If not Naylor, I'd go Christian Yelich. Well, he's util only too, so I can't take him. I ended up going George Springer. Didn't get Bellinger as my first outfielder. Got Springer. I think he's riskier. Obviously, he's 36, 37. And ended a long run of decline to put up career best numbers, arguably, last year. But he is well suited for this format. And he can afford to give up a lot of what he did last year. His point per game average, it was startling. It was 3.75. So he was performing like a borderline first rounder in this format last year. Don't expect to do him to do that again, but it's always, as always, with an unexpected hitter performance like this, or really pitcher performance too. I don't think anybody has a good gauge for what comes next. I think we can all look and say, okay, he's unlikely to do that again. But what is the likely scenario? He just reverts to what he was the previous year? I don't think that's the likeliest scenario either. So it just becomes a question of at what point are you willing to tolerate the risk that he does turn into his previous version all the way? And I think him going that far is unlikely. I think the likeliest scenario is somewhere between 2024 and 2025 for Springer. And I think here in round 6, almost 70 picks in is definitely worth it for that kind of upside.
Yeah, and maybe that somewhere in between looks something like a 260 batting average, 25 homers, 10 to 15 steals, and like an 800 OPS. That would still be a really valuable player, I think, at this point in the draft. And Springer's skill set has just always been really strong for a points league because he doesn't strike out all that much. It's been an strikeout rate below 19% 4 years in a row, and a career 10.6% walk rate. So regularly great plate discipline there with George Springer. After you selected him, we did get Josh Naylor, which I think is a steal. Great value here at pick 65, followed by Hunter Goodman, Nico Horner, Mason Miller, and Freddie Peralta. Chris, you are up, but I think it's worth pointing out Mason Miller, again, in a points league where there are going to be some sparps available and closers you could pick up off the waiver wire. I don't know if using your 6th round pick on a closer is the best use of resources, but Mason Miller is the best, one of the best. So
Scott's limitations are my benefit. He mentioned wanting to take Christian Yelich last time around. I'll take Christian Yelich this time around. Did you guys see he made his spring debut today and he changed up his swing a little bit? He's going back to his old, more pronounced leg kick that he had during those years when he was more of a power hitter.
I did not see that, but if it helps him elevate the ball,
I don't know if there's anything there. He did homer today.
Sounds good to me.
1 for 1 with the old swing back.
Yeah, I think he's good. I mean, even leg kick or no leg kick, I think Christian Yelich, it was always a matter of health for him. Mm-hmm. Yes, there have been different degrees of power production over his career, but a healthy Yelich is a good Yelich, and especially in this format because he's good at getting on base. And so I think that's a great pick here. And I do want to, because we mentioned Josh Naylor being a great pick here, his point per game average was actually the 2nd highest among first basemen, ahead of Vladimir Guerrero even. It was behind only Nick Kurtz, who had a historic rookie season.
Yeah.
Naylor was number 2. Now we expect him to give some of that back because we're just assuming he's not going to be a 30 steal guy again. But he has always been a good points league guy because of how little he strikes out. So that's if I knew Naylor was going to be available in round 7, I wouldn't have taken Freddie Freeman in round 5.
That was round 6, by the way, Scott.
It would be a lot easier if you could see the future.
Yeah, maybe I could have seen Hunter Green getting hurt and not drafted him in my TGFBI draft because that would have been great. By the way, we big news of the day: Hunter Green dealing with an elbow injury. He's going for an MRI, but we're not expected to know exactly what's going on until next week. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out sooner. But we did an FBT Express episode, Chris and I did, and we talked a little bit about it. So we both dropped him outside of our top 40 starting pitchers, but it could be much lower than that or non-existent by the time we actually find out what's going on. So big news with Hunter Green. After Chris selected Christian Yelich, there was Kyle Bradish, Vinny P, baby, Vinny Pasquantino, and then we're into round 7 where we get Randy Arozarena, Yuri Perez, and Chris. Ooh,
oh, your least favorite player, Chris.
Much to your chagrin, selects Jesus Luzardo.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about my Jesus Luzardo pick, but I think he'll be very good if he's healthy. There's just a lot of injury risk there. That's the biggest thing. I think there's both performance risk and injury risk with Luzardo because he has a very slim margin for error when it comes to how well he actually pitches. It's 96 miles per hour. It's like if he's 95.5, he stinks. 96.2, he's great. He was at 96.4, I think, on average last year. So he was great outside of those 2 starts. But there is more injury and performance risk. It's risk I'm more willing to stomach here than in a roto league, I think.
And is he your SP1 or SP2?
SP2.
All right.
I've got
your one?
reliable, dependable ace Cole Reagans.
Oh, okay. All right.
By the way, Scott, where did you drop Hunter Green in your rankings?
Not as far as you two.
Okay.
But I
figured.
I don't have Blake Snell as far as you two. So it kind of the same rationale. I'm just, especially not. So I dropped him to around 30th at starting pitcher, one spot ahead of Blake Snell for me, and behind guys like Kyle Bradish and Chase Burns, Nolan McLean. That's where Hunter Green is. We don't actually know anything about Hunter Green now. We know he's dealing with something in his elbow, and it's not the UCL. That's all we really know. And his velocity's fine. Those are the three things we know. It may
and
not.
That he dealt with this injury last
He was
September.
pitching through the injury toward the end of last year.
He said he has bone spurs too. So
he was pitching successfully though.
Yeah.
So I fear the worst. I fear the worst when I take myself to the doctor for something. Like. I don't think it makes sense to assume, he's going to miss half the season. He's going to miss the whole season. Like, he may miss very little or even none of the season at this point. I'm not saying that's the likeliest scenario, but I want to guard against that possibility. I don't want to rank Hunter Green in a way that somebody's just going to get him for free and like, gee, you got an ace for free, So 30th seems like a good mid guarding against both extremes ranking to me. I'll probably pass over him at this point, at that point in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we'll have clarity within a week, right? Supposed to know more Tuesday.
Yeah. I kind of think the median outcome is going to be surgery. To just the way they were talking about it, it was very much like, yeah, let's get this taken care of now so he's fine for the playoff run. And that was the quotes from Francona and Hunter Green. Obviously, they weren't saying surgery. They were saying, like, let's handle it now before, while we can. But that's just it.
To be fair, I did not see those quotes in the MLB.com write-up. So if that's what they were saying, maybe that doesn't Let
me see if I can
promising.
find the piece that I got.
Yeah, Patrick Brown of MLB.com just may have chosen not to include those quotes.
Catch people up on picks in the meantime. After Jesus Luzardo went to Chris, we got Seiya Suzuki, Eugenio Suarez, Kevin Gausman, Joe Ryan. That feels like really good value in round 7, pick 79. Jose Altuve, Bo Bichette went to Scott, and then Jarren Duran. And that darn Scott White. I was looking to take Bo Bichette as my eventual third baseman, but
yeah,
that won't be happening now.
So it was between Eugenio Suarez, who I can start at third base in week 1, or Bo Bichette, who I can start at third base in week 2. And Suarez already went, so it made the decision for me. But I think I was leaning Bichette anyway, because Suarez just strikes out so much. I might have considered Joe Ryan if he had last 2 more picks. I still don't have a pitcher yet. Almost certainly going to take a pitcher with my next pick. But now I have, if we're assuming Bichette right now slots on my bench because I have a shortstop, I have utility already. I just got to wait till he picks up third base eligibility. Now all that's missing from my lineup, if we're assuming Bichette's at third, is 2 outfielders. I already have Springer in the top spot. 2 outfielders is all I need. So I'm going to be hitting pitching really hard from this point forward.
All right. And then the next pick was Riley Green. I am up here at the turn and just scrubbing through. Make sure I haven't missed anything. And yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking about pulling somebody up the board as part of a position scarcity thing. And yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and take Luke Keeschel here as my second baseman. I do think he will make a lot of contact and will perform very well in a head-to-head points league context. And the other pick, I think I'm going to take my SP3. I don't really see hitters that stand out to me here. So I'm going to go ahead and take Dylan Cease to go along with Chris Sale and Garrett Crochet.
Dylan Cease was who I was planning to take, Frank. I didn't think you needed more pitchers.
Let's make a trade right here, right now. Dylan Cease for Bo Bichette. Sounds pretty good.
No, it's fine. There's a lot of good pitchers left.
There's no pitchers left.
There's no good third baseman left. I'll tell you that much.
You're lying.
Now McLean's gone. Maybe there are no good pitchers.
Somebody who rhymes with Shmazuma Shmokamoto. Maybe get him later on. We'll see. Let's take a break. Let's take another break. When we return, we'll catch you up on round 8. We'll do that right after this.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema.
Are you not entertained?
The new home of UFC, Paramount Plus.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball. Today we're here doing a live head-to-head points mock draft, 12-team league. And before we jump over to Scott to find out his pick, make sure to hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube. We have something like 40 or 50 likes and almost 300 people watching right now. So if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We have just a boatload of content coming out throughout the month of March. And then obviously into the season, we'll be live every night, every weeknight here on YouTube as well. So after I selected Dylan Cease, oh man, the pitchers, they are flying. We have Zach Wheeler, Nolan McLean, Nick Pivetta went to Scott, and then Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray, 89th overall. All right, Scott, Nick Pivetta as your SP1.
Yep.
Just how he drew it up.
Yep, that's it. All right.
I mean, the idea, I'm unlikely to have a true ace. As I was talking about earlier, let's go ahead and get Chris's emotional reaction. That's more interesting.
No. Keep talking.
No,
I
it's
thought
more interesting.
about selecting Yandy Diaz as well.
Yeah, Yandy Diaz is a standout in points leagues. He was north of 3 points per game last season in this format, and he will not be on my team. He was 3.1 points per game, by the way.
But that was as an opposite field hitter at Swamp Burner Field.
Sure, I think he'll probably be worse, but even...
He's always been good in this format, though.
Yeah, like 2024,
2 years
he
ago,
wasn't
he
great.
wasn't that great.
But that was 120 combined runs in RBI in 145 games, which is just, that's ridiculously low. That's not going to be the case again. He was north of 3 points per game in 2023. He was probably pretty close in 2022, although I think it was probably more like 2.95 if I'm doing the math in my head correctly. So he's usually
he is
a
always
must-start player.
a lot better in points leagues than his baseline numbers would make you think he is, because the plate discipline is so good. But he's a lot less interesting when he's hitting a dozen homers than 2 dozen.
Sure.
Anyway,
2023 was 3.4 fantasy points per game, by the way.
Yeah, those were the 2 best years of his career, 23 and 25.
Yeah.
The only 2 where he got to 20 homers. And last year, I think, was venue aided. But anyway, Nick Pivetta, like, as I was saying earlier in the recording here, the podcast, this is the more forgiving format for pitchers. You don't need guys who are going to dominate the ratios. And that's really what you're paying for with the elite guys. You can patch things together with just pretty good pitchers who throw a lot of innings. And so I'm probably not going to have a true ace, but I'm not sure a true ace separates you that much in this format. I would like to have a lot of guys with the chance to be number 3 types in fantasy. And Nick Pivetta is going to be the first of those.
All right. After Yandy Diaz went, we got Tyler Soderstrom, Luis Robert, Shea Langoliers, and Sandy. Do I have that loaded up? Let's see. Yes, I do.
Sandy?
Tell me about it.
Stud.
Sandy went to Chris, and then Ozzy Albies with the next pick. We are at the 8-9 turn. And Chris, I know you like what you saw from Sandy in the second half of last season, and this is obviously his much better format given the volume that he provides.
Yeah, he's last 2 seasons have obviously not been great, but last year it was the first half was just a disaster. By the time we got to July, really, he was basically going 6 innings every time. He needs to pitch well for that to matter, but I think he will pitch much better. You start to look at the game logs starting on August 15th last year, 20, 28.5, 20, 27 to 29, 23, 22.5 points. Those were his points for every start. It was basically 20 plus points every start except for 1 in the last, 7 starts of the season. I'm not saying he's going to do that every time out this year. He would probably be the best pitcher in fantasy if he did. But I think we saw a return to must-start Sandy after the All-Star break, especially. It was a 3.13 ERA after the All-Star break and averaged over 6 innings per start.
Yeah, his control and I know his location plus got a lot better during that time, and that was just the missing ingredient there for Sandy coming back from the Tommy John surgery. So once he got that down, it seemed like he was, not all the way back to the pitcher he was, but much closer to that pitcher once again. After Sandy went, there was Ozzy Albies and Salvador Perez, and now we are into round 9, where Luis Castillo is the first pick here. And like you guys said earlier, man, I think you kind of just throw ADP out the window for a head-to-head points league. It's just, we are seeing things that we wouldn't normally see, I guess, in a categories league. It's kind of the Wild West here.
Halfway through. We're almost halfway through.
Yeah.
I think there's still 12 to 15 players that are clearly better than the others. So I'm not sure we're quite there where it's just like anything goes, but we're getting close.
Yep. And right after Luis Castillo, Steven Kwan, who every year with that extremely low strikeout rate makes a lot of sense here in round 9. And Chris, we are back to you.
I do want to say, I think we're there with hitters. I think there's already been a significant drop-off in hitter to the point where I think that would not be as true if Jeremy Pena hadn't literally fractured his finger, 20 minutes before we started recording or whatever it was. Or that's what it's been reported as. I don't think it's actually been confirmed by either the DR team or the Astros, but he hurt his finger today. And so that might be the pick, although I already have a shortstop. I'm going to just keep chasing pitching and keep chasing high upside pitching, and I took Chase Burns.
Chasing Burns.
I was wondering how many times were you going to say chasing before you got to Burns?
No, I was hoping to take Burns because I was just saying I don't think I'm clearly not going to get an ace at this point. I might have if I'd taken Chase Burns.
I mean, in this format, I think this is clearly a better in roto than points player, at least right now, because I do think it's going to be a lot of 5 and dive for Chase Burns. I don't think we're going to see him pitch deep into games. He's just such a max effort guy. He's such a strikeout guy that I don't think I would be stunned if Chase Burns averaged 6 innings per start this season, even if he's very, very good, which I do expect. So
yeah,
I think the likelihood of Chase Burns being, even on a per game basis, a top 12 pitcher in this format is pretty low, I would think.
Averaging 6 innings, to be fair, is a high standard for anybody. That's 180 innings over 30 starts.
I'd be pretty surprised if he averaged 5.5 innings per start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does struggle a little bit with control too. So I just think a lack of efficiency there for Chase Burns will probably limit his innings pitched per start as well. But
he got to 110 last year. I think he could do 150.
Yeah, I think 150 is a good expectation. But 150 in a roto league, it's easier to be very, very impactful with great ratios in 150.
It kind of depends how he's getting those 150.
Like it might be 150 over 27 starts, something like that. After Chase Burns, there was Max Muncy of the Dodgers, who great OBP still, walks a ton, but doesn't play against left-handed pitching. So it's kind of a give and take. This is definitely his better format, but he's lacking that volume of playing against left-handed pitching as well. After Max Muncy, there was Jacob Misiorowski, Michael Busch, Trevor Rogers, Nathan Eovaldi. So we're getting that pitcher run, Scott, and we're back to you in round 9.
Yeah. Who do I want to take?
I mean, I think on the whole, the pitchers are way better than the hitters right now.
Yeah, and I need pitchers, so I'm definitely taking a pitcher. It's just which one? Which one? I haven't. I haven't taken Cam Schlittler yet. Let's do Schlittler.
There you go.
Was that your impersonation of the lady drinking kombucha meme?
Is that what she was drinking in that?
Yeah, I believe that's the context of that.
I've never actually tried it, but I've heard it's not so great.
Our second closer just went off the board. Edwin Diaz
And I think it came 3 rounds after.
Better value than Mason Miller.
Yep. Which may not be the same in your home league, but this is the way it should be. There are so few reliever spots to fill. It's made deeper by all the sparps, and it's just harder for good relievers to differentiate themselves.
Chris, did you actually? I'll ask you that in a second. Hunter Green
just went closer to where your boy ranks him.
Well, that doesn't mean it's right.
No, it doesn't. we'll find if it's out of his right a week from now.
Yeah, pretty much. 107th overall, and right after Schlittler, Evaldi, Rogers, this is probably the SP 35-ish range, I would imagine, in this specific draft right now. So
that sounds right.
Yeah. All right. Can you guys talk about some picks while I figure out who I'm going to take?
Yeah. What do you think of Schlittler, Chris? You think he's got I was partly thinking of his run of starts at the end of last season, where it looks like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 8 went 6 innings or more.
And that's not even including the postseason, I assume, where he had an 8-inning start. They showed a real willingness to let him pitch deep into games. The problem when we talk about does he go 6 innings consistently? Yes, that is the goal. But I've talked about this with Blake Snell a lot. Those 2 years where he had 180 innings, his pitch counts were still relatively low. I don't think in either of the 2 seasons where he had 180 innings, he was in the top 15 in games and pitches per start. It's just he happened to be efficient those 2 seasons. With Schlittler, he was pitching deep into games, and the Yankees were letting him go 90, 95 plus pitches pretty consistently, which is not something you see all the time with rookie pitchers. Now, the other side of that is, can his arm handle that? He's seen a gigantic boost in velocity over the past couple of seasons, going from right around 94 in 2023 to 98 in 2025. It was a pretty bonkers. The comment said I was saying bonkers too much yesterday. Now we're back on it.
They got in your head, Chris.
They got in my head for sure. Ridiculous. That was a huge jump in velocity that makes me nervous, along with the workload. But I do think Cam Schlittler, the Yankees have let their guys go deep. Did Rodon and Fried, were they 1 and 2 in wins last season?
I think
in the
Crochet
American League
was 1, but
okay.
they were, 1 was first and 1 was tied for second there.
Yeah, and then I want to say Rodon also led the league in the AL in wins the year before, or was right up there. So they've let their guys go deep when they're good enough for it. So I do think if Schlittler holds up, he'll probably be a very good points league option, especially as well as Rhoda.
All right, at the 9-10 turn, I selected Matt Chapman and my guy. Scott, thank you for not taking him. I was really scared you were going to do it.
I thought about it.
I'm pretty sure you just let me have him, so I appreciate that. That is Nick Lodolo.
So here's the thing. If I had taken Lodolo, would you have taken Schlittler?
Ooh, let's see. The pitchers that are left, and there was this class now taking Woodruff, Pepio. Yeah, I probably would have taken Cam, yeah.
Because I actually do rank Lodolo a couple spots ahead of Schlittler, and I said I haven't drafted Schlittler yet. I assume that's why, just because going through my rankings, but they're in the same tier, and my opinions within this tier are not very strongly held.
Yeah.
So I just figured I'd try out Schlittler, see how that felt. Maybe I'll end up rearranging the rankings slightly. I might. Well, go ahead and read off the last few picks, and I'll get to what I wanted to say.
We're getting a lot of pitchers here. So, again, we're into round 10. I selected Nick Lodolo at pick 109. Then we got Tyler Glasnow, Jacob Wilson, great points league player. You took Brandon Woodruff, and then Ryan Pepio and Andres Munoz was the pick right after that.
So I get the feeling Woodruff, who I have ranked ahead of both Lodolo and Schlittler, I got him surprisingly late in Tout Wars last night. It just seems like he is starting to slide because he hasn't been pitching. He has that red cross next to his name. However, the last update says he's trending toward avoiding the IL.
Is it Schlittler?
No, I'm talking about Woodruff.
Sorry.
Schlittler's about to start pitching again.
Yep.
He's been cleared to pitch again. Woodruff, I don't think has. And I'm kind of skeptical he'll actually avoid an IL stint, but like it's clearly a ramp up issue at this point, not a he's not healthy issue. And if he misses his first turn, whatever. He's given his history even before the recent shoulder stuff. He's going to miss turns occasionally this year.
Yeah.
That it's the first doesn't really move the needle for me, but I might have to move Woodruff down in that tier where my opinions are not very strongly held, just because I know I can get him later in the tier.
You know who we are all collectively, and it's possible that just everybody has a shortstop by now. There's two people who do not have a shortstop, but I am running into the problem of filling the utility spot too early.
Yeah.
Where, look, I'm happy with Christian Yelich. I think he'll be great, but Yelich is not, despite his skill set seemingly working better for this format, he's probably not actually much of a better points league player than CJ Abrams, who's been above 3 points per game, I think 3 straight years. I don't know if he quite got there in 2024, but definitely 2023 and 2025, he was 3 points per game. I think it was 3.2 almost for Abrams.
Well, I can tell you last year, Abrams was 3.13 and Yelich was 3.08. So
yeah,
Abrams was actually a little better on a per game basis last year. Now, Yelich didn't have quite his usual plate discipline last year.
Yeah, I think he kind of had to sacrifice some of it.
So I don't think we saw Yelich's best last year per game. I do think we saw basically Abrams' best. I know some people hold out hope for more improvement from him, but he's basically been the same guy 3 years in a row.
Yeah,
now.
he was basically a 3.1 in 2023 as well.
Yeah. But the point stands.
Really good,
like he's a must-start player even in this format, and he hasn't been taken yet. Somebody should take him for their utility spot.
Yeah, someone who's
listening. Can't be me. I got Schwarbs.
Yeah, that's the problem. I have Francisco Lindor and Christian Yelich already, but it's one of those ones where if I knew Abrams was going to be sitting there at 123, like that's a clear steal. He's a top 70 player in a head-to-head points league at least.
Yeah, I mean, I will tell everybody who is in this draft and watching right now, if CJ Abrams makes it to me at the turn, I will take him as my utility.
You don't want to have to take him, do you? You're daring people.
No, I have.
So that you don't have to take him.
Thought the past couple of rounds, the past couple of turns about taking Abrams, but I did need a third baseman, so I selected Matt Chapman, and he's fine. He's kind of boring, but walks a lot, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, I just needed to fill that third base position. And I had to take Nick Lodolo, right? Like he's my guy. I had to do that. So we'll see if Abrams makes it all the way back. Lots of picks.
I'm not happy.
After Andres Munoz at pick 114 in round 10, there was Matthew Boyd, Trey Yesavage, Gavin Williams, Brendan Nimmo went to Chris, which is a great points league player.
And he's going to lead off for the Rangers. They've already confirmed that.
Cade Smith and then Spencer Strider. We are into round 11 now, and we get Michael King, Kazuma Okamoto, so he won't be on my team. And then Kyle Stowers went to you, Chris. You said you weren't happy.
Yeah, he's just a bad plate discipline guy. I think he was north of 3 points per game, but it was barely.
Mm-hmm. I don't think we've talked about his hamstring injury, by the way.
And he's dealing with a hamstring injury.
Do you want to touch on that? Yeah.
It sounds like he's only going to be shut down for 1 to 2 weeks and could still be ready for opening day, but obviously, look, opening day's in 3 weeks. So if he's shut down for 2 weeks, I think Kyle Stowers probably opens the season on the IL. You hate to see a player missing a big chunk of spring training. So I think there's some risk. I really like Kyle Stowers. I think a lot of what he did was real last year. I think there's a little bit of Brent Rooker here where it's a late breakout, but the underlying numbers really back it up. I just didn't want to take another starting pitcher with how many I already have. Though I almost clicked Bubba Chandler, but there's a lot of risk already in this pitching staff. I'm not sure I could take another young guy who throws 99. Although I really like Bubba Chandler. So
yeah. Your heart is too weak. This is the format to build a risky pitching staff.
Sure.
I mean, it's I kind of said a few times that boring pitchers pay off here too. Like just basically all forms of pitchers. If they're not bad, they're good. It's more that this is the format to take risks.
Yep.
Because the waiver wire is going to be fertile in fallback possibilities.
After Chris
Agreed.
selected Kyle Stowers, we did finally get CJ Abrams at pick 124. So
Great pick.
I'm sure J-Dub Mulpus here has a great team because I called out his team earlier, and I like the picks that he was making. So we'll check in on that later. There was Agustin Ramirez, Carlos Estevez, Jorge Polanco, who was really good last year in all formats, but I mean specifically in a points league, he does keep the strikeouts down, which is very good. Followed by Willie Adames, and we are back to Scott. Let's check in on the old squad here and see what we've got. Cal Raleigh, Freddie Freeman, Bryce Terang, Mookie Betts, George Springer, Kyle Schwarber, and then the pitching staff, Nick Pivetta, Cam Schlittler, and Brandon Woodruff.
Yeah, I'm going to take another pitcher. I'm going to take Bubba Chandler since Chris passed him over. I'll shoot for the upside. I'll take the risk.
Can he throw strikes? Has been a problem so far this spring.
It has been a problem so far this spring. I will remind you of something you may need a reminder on, Frank. Don't overrate spring performance.
You know what? This is about the time that I needed that reminder, Scott.
Yes.
So thank you. Yes, I did. I'm trying to keep this long running like Google Doc of notes and everything. I'm already falling behind. There's just too much going on. But
you know it's going to be even tough. You know it's going to be even tougher.
What's that?
We're going to be watching these World Baseball Classic games. There's going to be big crowds. I've got it muted, but I'm sure the crowd in Tokyo is going crazy right now. It's going to be even harder not to react to World Baseball Classic, which
100%.
If you were going to react to anyone, to anything this time of year, it would be World Baseball Classic rather than spring training because they are more competitive games. But
we probably just shouldn't react.
Shouldn't react to 7 games either way.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right answer. But the one I wanted to mention who went last round was Matthew Boyd. He had something like 13 swinging strikes yesterday in that relief appearance for Team USA against the Giants. He looked incredible. But his slider velocity is up this spring, and he's been getting crazy whiffs on that slider. So just thought I would point that out there. I know that there are a lot of good catchers left, but to get this guy in round 11, I'm just going to go ahead and take Drake Baldwin, especially with the news of Jurickson Profar suspended 162 games. Even once Sean Murphy is back, I just think Drake Baldwin is going to play as much as humanly possible, whether it is at catcher or DH, and he makes a lot of contact. He's in a good lineup. If they could stay healthy and stop getting suspended, that would be great. But yes, I'm very happy to take the plunge on a catcher at this point. And
Love the pick. I had Will Smith as top catcher available, and I got to move Drake Baldwin ahead of Will Smith because I think actually Will Smith is the bigger playing time concern than Drake Baldwin.
Yeah,
to start out.
I mean, I think like even when Murphy's back, worst case scenario, I think Baldwin draws Will Smith to a draw.
What I was building up to is that I don't think the Braves DH is on their roster right now, and
Probably.
I'm seeing a lot of people say, "Oh, this is probably what the Braves offense looks like." Oh, Eli White, get your Eli White shares. I now live in the hometown of Eli White. He's like a local celebrity here, so
So you got to watch what you say.
That's just an aside, but
people are going to start knocking on.
Really, people are like, "Get your Eli White shares." I think it's going to happen like I laid it out a couple days ago, where once teams are having to make roster cuts at the end of spring training, they're going to be kind of giving these bats away that aren't amazing. They're not like all-star caliber or anything, but they're better than what the Braves currently have. Like Ryan Mountcastle comes to mind. And so I think they're going to end up getting somebody not on the roster right now to fill that spot. And the scenario of Sean Murphy and Drake Baldwin playing every day is probably not going to happen. But Baldwin, I think at this point, is clearly better than Sean Murphy, regardless.
Yeah, that is all fair. Catching people up after you selected Bubba Chandler, we got Brandon Lau, Yohan Duran. At the turn, I selected Drake Baldwin and Emmett Sheehan. So I have all 5 of my starting pitchers filled out at this point. I still need an outfielder and a utility bat, but the hitter pool seems pretty flat at this point. So figured I would go ahead with another breakout candidate there with Emmett Sheehan. And then Michael Harris and Chris Bubich. Scott, I hope you were not planning to take Chris Bubic.
Not yet.
Okay.
It's 136. I know ADP is out the window, but there are other pitchers here that I like more.
Okay.
That haven't been taken. Getting close to Bubic, but a few others ahead of him. I'm torn between two of them, actually. One is Blake Snell, who maybe has fallen enough. I'm going to see how much longer he falls, though, and take Tatsuya Imai.
Very fun.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like it.
I believe we've only seen one start from him so far, and he only threw an inning in that one. I could be wrong about that.
That sounds right. They've been working.
Inning or two.
I think the thing that you have to keep in mind with Imai, and it's the same as Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani and every pitcher coming over from Japan, is the Astros are almost certainly going to stick to a 6-man rotation. So in a head-to-head points league, that does present some limitations because you're probably not going to get any 2-start weeks, or at least many 2-start weeks from them. I did notice, I was going through the Dodgers schedule for the first part of the season because I was, I had read a story a couple weeks ago that they might not need a 6th starter to open the season, and that's true. I think they can get through 2 turns through the rotation while keeping everyone on 5 days rest. But the 6th starter spot is going to come up about 4 times in the first month of the season, and there is, I think, week 3, a Yoshinobu Yamamoto 2-start week.
Oh, nice.
In there, I believe. So it's a nice little bonus for those of you who took him early. There aren't going to be many of those, but there will be some.
After Scott selected Tatsuya Imai, we got Sal Frelick, Shota Imanaga, Will Smith of the Dodgers, and Mackenzie Gore. So this is a pretty fun round for starting pitchers. We had Sheehan, Bubic, Imai, Imanaga, Gore. All feel like either sleeper-ish or breakout-ish type pitchers there.
That's what I've been saying about the starting pitcher position this year is, okay, this is a range of the rankings where there are always a lot of alike options and you're kind of picking and choosing your favorites. That group of alike options, though, on the whole, seems to have a lot more upside than usual, particularly in terms of their bat missing ability. Which I think is the strongest indicator of overall upside. So it's why I really like to live in this range. And the hitters, comparatively speaking, are just so uninteresting. So,
and I think especially in a points league.
Yep, absolutely.
After we saw Mackenzie Gore, there was Aroldis Chapman, and Chris, you selected Carlos Rodon, who again is working his way back from off-season surgery to clean up some bone spurs in his elbow. Sounds like he'll be back in late April, maybe early May if they want to play it really cautiously. But last year, 18 wins for Rodon and 16.4 fantasy points per game. That was the same amount as Paul Skeens. It was better than Chris Sale and Jacob deGrom. So Rodon,
part of that is
really good in points leagues.
Won a lot of games.
Yes.
Was 18 wins, pitched deep consistently, but still the same team. And while I think the pitching deep consistently is a bigger question at this point, I still think it's easier to stomach, early season limitations in this format because you just don't start Carlos Rodon if you don't think he's going to go 5 innings consistently. But he should be, assuming he avoids setbacks, he should be fine by mid-season to pitch like himself.
I'm curious. Back in November, when Rodon, Snell were healthy, did you rank Rodon ahead of Snell then? Because you took Rodon ahead of Snell now.
Yeah, I would have if both were healthy. Yes, I would have just taken. I would have had Rodon ahead of Snell. Yes.
After Chris selected Carlos Rodon, we had ourselves a turn of picks here. Jack Caglione at 143, Devin Williams and Josh Hader. Now we're into round 13 and Sal Stewart. Scott, I have one request for you. Do not ever invite Jake Holland back to do a mock draft ever again.
Taking all your guys, huh?
Dude,
he listened to the last couple episodes.
those two were in my mental queue. I can't put them in my actual queue because that's what's up on the screen right now. But
You know what, Scott? Here's one for
the next turn, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go Cags and Sal Stewart, and this is gonna be great. And
Did you mean to do that, Chris?
It was in my queue. It's fine. That's
Connor
on me.
Griffin.
Nope. I think we should back it out.
No, that's on me for. I was deliberating at the last minute, and I almost just took Blake Snell to make Scott happy, but I can never make Scott happy.
I mean, this is
I am a malcontent.
pretty fun part of the draft here. Round 12, we mentioned a lot of those sleeper breakout starting pitchers went, and now we're getting some of those kind of hype hitters again. Cags, Sal Stewart, and the name that Chris selected, by the way, is Connor Griffin. So
Connor Griffin.
Yep.
he is the top prospect in all of baseball.
I mean, Caglione, he hasn't homered in a couple days. I'm kind of over it.
Scott, don't react to spring training.
The whole thing is a reaction to spring training.
Pretty much.
I'm just joking, though. I'm obviously not over it.
I had him on the short list of my breakouts 1.0, and I think he just missed the cut. I probably would have included him in breakouts 2.0 anyway, just because I like the post-hype nature here of Caglione. We were all so excited about him last year, and I know the surface level numbers in the majors for Caglione last year were not good, but
No, they were bad.
The underlying stuff was still pretty good. Like the plate discipline was okay. The strikeout rate was not egregious. The max EV was like 114 miles per hour. So there were still
his actual WOBA was like 240. It was one of the worst among anyone who had as much playing time as him. But his expected WOBA was like 326, which is not great, to be clear, but it's above average and it's significantly better. And if, I don't know, a 326 WOBA is probably, gosh, I'm trying to come up with a comp, but if he had that as a rookie, as a 21-year-old rookie with, you know, all the skills that Jack Caglione has, I think there'd be a lot more interest in him. And just last year, Josh Bell. If he had Josh Bell's season, I don't think people would be like through the roof about Jack Caglione, but I think there would be a little less skepticism about him and a little more excitement about him building on it. And I think it took 120 mile per hour batted ball in spring training to get people to that point, I think.
Mm-hmm. After Connor Griffin went to Chris, we got Ranger Suarez, Lawrence Butler, Brian Reynolds, Ryan Nelson, and Ryan Nelson, by the way, the first Sparp selected in this draft, and then Blake Snell, Scott. So one pick right before you.
I know.
152nd.
I thought I was going to get him. After almost taking him last time, I wonder if Martin Sokolsky did that on purpose, just to be mean. I'll take Joe Musgrove. I like Musgrove. I think I've said it a few times. He was basically Max Fried, not just in terms of percentages, but workload as well, prior to having the elbow issues come up in 2024. And it's Tommy John surgery. It's not foolproof, but a lot of pitchers come back just the same.
His velocity was up. I don't know if you mentioned that. He pitched today. He averaged 94.4 with his fastball. He was at 93 the last time he pitched. So that's a promising sign. I thought from what I saw, he looked pretty good. Joe Musgrove,
right.
that is.
Yes, that is good information there on Joe Musgrove.
Yeah, I got to move him up. Yeah.
Yeah, I spent all day updating the rankings today, and we talked about this earlier, Chris, offline, but I was deep in the weeds. I was in the Charlie Condon area of the rankings. I was really trying to move up a lot of these peripheral players and stuff, and I moved Caglione up to around like outfielder 40, and Condon and Joe Musgrove I moved up to around SP 50. So kind of, right after that group of Ranger Suarez and Tatsuya Imai, it's kind of that excitement group of starting pitchers there, with Joe Musgrove kind of rounding that out. So we are about to finish out round 13. I am on deck here and need one more outfielder, one more util bat. Got all 5 of my starting pitchers filled out. Scott, I do have one more request. I would like to play this league out. I really like my team.
I know you don't mean that. I mean, you may like your team, but I know you don't want another league to play.
I actually really don't want another league.
Yeah.
But this team looks really good. I do like this team quite a bit. If all my teams turned out like this, I think I'd be pretty happy. Although I need Sal Stewart on it, so I would have to hit up Jake for a trade. because I've got to get that. Sal Stewart, by the way, a sock and a shoe here on Wednesday. He's going to be such a dude. Gosh, he's so good.
By the way, you both moved Caglione to 40th at starting pitcher?
At
outfield?
Well, I don't think he's going to be a two-way player.
He is a former
tried.
by the way.
Tried.
But 40 at outfield exactly?
Yes.
That's very funny.
Did we all do the same thing?
Even when the hive mind is not discussing things, the hive mind is still putting the guys in the same spot. That is incredible stuff. I had him at 40 when I moved it a couple days ago.
Very nice. And what'd I do? Did I take your guy?
Yeah, you took Ian Happ. I still need two outfielders, and he was one of the points league standouts that was still there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I'm going to end the skid here for Jeremy Pena, who's going to just throw him in my utility spot. Again, he's dealing with this either injured or fractured finger. They reported that he's going to be out the first round of the WBC, hoping that he's ready for opening day. We don't have too many details about it so far, but even if he misses the first couple of weeks, he was a standout last year and really liked the skill set overall there for Pena. And so I will just throw him in my utility spot.
Yeah, that's long overdue. I mean, even if he has a fractured finger, I don't think he's missing a long time. And he, on a per game basis, low strikeout rate, he was good as some shortstops that were going 8 rounds ago.
Yep, I would have been happy to take him or CJ Abrams a while ago, if not for Lindor and Yelich.
So let that be a lesson to you, dear listener. Shortstop in a league like this with no middle infield spot, unless you get a true standout, not just a good starter, but a true standout like a Lindor or a Gunnar Henderson, somebody like that going in the first couple rounds. This is a position where you can absolutely wait a long time. We've seen it in this mock. We saw it in the head-to-head points auction. Trevor Story, $2, and he wasn't the only one. I think CJ Abrams went for, Payne went for 10.
I got Abrams for 10.
Yeah. A Story's still on the board here too, by the way.
And he was right around that 3 point per game.
He's a bust candidate, but
160.
Yeah, I can't complain about that.
Yeah, I think catcher and shortstop are the two places in a head-to-head points league that you can absolutely afford to wait. It's fine to get one of those early round difference makers, like you said, although I think when it comes to catcher, it's an overstatement to say it's cow rally or bust. It's kind of cow rally or bust, though, because
for this format,
it's cow rally last year was like 620 points. Everyone else was like 450 or below, I'm pretty sure.
But I think you could see a few of those plate appearance standouts really be difference makers still. Like
I think William Contreras could be a 500-point player.
Contreras, Ben Rice, I think they can be.
Yeah.
We are into round 14. After I selected Jeremy Pena, we got Drew Rasmussen, Cade Horton, Robbie Ray went to Scott, and then Merrill Kelly next pick. Merrill Kelly dealing with the back injury, but sounds like he could be ready for opening day and typically goes deep into his start. So I think a good play in this format. Scott, you took one of your busts.
I did.
How could you?
I mean, I guess everyone else in this draft thinks he's a bust because we're starting to take pitchers who I have ranked below him. I don't think I rank Robbie Ray that aggressively. He's a veteran who should go deep into the starts where he's pitching well. And the ratios that have always been a problem for him, whip can be an issue. Obviously, it doesn't matter nearly as much in this format as it does in Roto. So I think as my 8th starting pitcher, sure, Robbie Ray.
We are on the board, by the way, in the World Baseball Classic. Australia up 2-0 on a Robbie Perkins 2-run homer. So don't think that matters at all for this draft or conversation. But if
I'm moving Robbie Perkins up.
If you're watching along, your Open Universe Dynasty League, Robbie Perkins from the Australian Baseball League.
I was explaining to my wife yesterday. We were talking about the World Baseball Classic and, just talking about other leagues around the world. And Australia might have, if we don't count individual American leagues as, like AAA and AA, because those are probably higher quality than Australia. Australia might have like a top 5 baseball league in the world. You know, after Japan and the U.S., it's probably pretty wide open.
Yeah.
You know, Netherlands, Korea, Australia, China. Those are probably the next ones.
What about in the Western Hemisphere?
Well, yeah, I think the various winter leagues are in a different
Okay.
in a different category because those are all mostly or a lot of major league guys.
Yeah.
Mexico was probably in that discussion because that's where a lot of just out of the majors guys go to hang out. I think Robinson Cano was still playing there last year.
After Robbie Ray and Merrill Kelly, we got Joey Cantillo, who is another Sparp here in a points league, Noah Cameron, Brendan Donovan, and Jacob Marcy. I know we have expressed some skepticism with Jacob Marcy, but at 165,
he was great in this format last year.
I don't think there's much risk there with that.
He walked a lot. That was one thing he did consistently in the minors. 2 things he did: walk a lot, steal a lot of bases.
Yep.
And walks will definitely help in this format. Stealing bases are kind of underrated in this format since we give 2 points apiece for them. So I think he's actually a better points league player, Jacob Marcy, than Roto. And I wouldn't have minded taking him as my number 2 outfielder. Maybe I should have done that instead of taking Robbie Ray. I'll have to figure out what to do instead.
All right, after Jacob Marcy, Chris selected Cody Ponce. So
yeah, once Joey Cantillo went off, it's like, we're there. We can start open season on Sparps.
I thought about it at my pick to go ahead and take Cody Ponce. Then JJ Weatherholtz, Taylor Ward. Now we're into round 15. We got Gleyber Torres and Kevin McGonigal. So, look, Jake Holland drafting all the hype guys. Great dynasty team. I've got.
I think I think we mentioned it in one of the recent pods, but I think McGonigal has become underrated.
That home run that he
in
hit
fantasy.
in the WBC yesterday, not the WBC, but against the Dominican Republic.
Against Dominican Republic. Yeah.
First pitch he saw, he just demolished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the number 2 prospect in baseball. He's a better prospect than JJ Weatherholt by basically everyone's estimation. And Weatherholt is guaranteed a job, more or less. McGonigal very much is not guaranteed a job, but I think we're probably still at coin flip territory for McGonigal. I don't think he's more likely to start the season in the minors than in the majors. So I think it's a great pick. I think
especially in points.
He's underrated.
I mean, both him and Weatherholt should be
Didn't McGonigal walk 15% of the time last year?
Plate discipline standouts. Yeah.
I believe more walks than strikeouts.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. Yeah.
That home run he hit was hit so hard and so far. And it was like he's not a big guy, and
small.
The way it wasn't like a muscly. It's not like he put a lot of muscle into the ball. It was just the quickness of the swing. You know.
I was just gonna say too, he's smaller in height. He's probably 5'10" or something, but he packs a punch, man. He's kind of a built out dude, Kevin McGonigal.
Yeah, it was 110. I think Frank, when we were in Arizona, we saw him hit I think it ended up being a triple off the top of the wall, but I think he hit that one 109 or 111 or something. He hit a couple. He was the Arizona Fall League MVP. He was one of the best hitters in the minors last year. He's a super talented player who I think is probably, if you're looking for the arbitrage opportunity, McGonigal is the way to go if you're looking for one of those high upside rookies.
After McGonigal, we got Grayson Rodriguez, who went to Chris, then Raisel Iglesias, Jack Flaherty, and Andrew Abbott. I believe it was yesterday or 2 days ago, we spoke about Grayson Rodriguez as a sleeper for this season. And at this point in the draft, why not take a shot on some upside? He's made a few starts here in the spring, and the velocity has looked pretty good there for Grayson Rodriguez.
Yeah, I thought his stuff looked pretty good overall. He's tweaking his slider.
The velocity was down on that pitch, but you told me he might be working on a kind of slurvier slider.
Yeah, he had a different slider when he was coming up as a prospect. I want to say he kind of started throwing it differently just because of all the lat and elbow pain that he'd been dealing with the last few years. But last spring, he was talking about throwing a more sweeper version of the slider. And I think that's probably what we saw But his velocity was good. Command was iffy, but that's to be expected when you've barely pitched in 2 years.
All right. After Andrew Abbott, we got Edward Cabrera. We are one pick away from Scott in round 15. And there we are. Caleb Durbin goes off the board.
So I have 2 bench spots left that may be filled by starting pitchers. I actually only have 7 only. I said Robbie Ray was my 8th. It was my 7th. I am trying to figure out a way to get a little upside from an outfielder at this point because, with only 3 outfield spots to fill across 12 teams, there are decent outfielders left, but they just don't. There's not much separation between them.
There's one.
Is it the one I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
The one I'm building up to saying.
There's one you hate.
It's Mike Trout.
Okay.
It's Mike Trout.
Yeah, he obviously has significant upside.
He obviously does. I mean, he stayed pretty healthy last year, and it was disappointing what he did. Even in this format, 2.65 points per game is nothing to write home about.
Oh, he was not good last year, yeah.
His strikeout rate exploded, and it's been trending up for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So why did I take him? Just hoping.
I mean,
Just hoping he
every year
reverses
before,
that trend a little bit.
Every year before last year on a per game basis, he was like at least 3.4 points per game.
Yes. So he obviously has a track record of excelling. Obviously, he's Mike Trout. But even recently on a per game basis, like you're saying, and especially in this format. So, I'm not married to him. It's what round is it?
15.
15.
Round 15 in a 21 round draft. Like, everybody you draft at this point is disposable. That you can say that about Mike Trout for all that could go wrong with him, I think is you're not in a bad spot if you're getting him in round 15 of a shallow league.
There are a lot of guys you have to kind of pray can be starting caliber outfielders at this point. Mike Trout, there are a lot of ways it can go wrong, obviously, but there are fewer performance ways it can go wrong, I think. I think he's more likely to be better than he was last year than the opposite, certainly.
All right, we are up here in round 15, the turn. And the last pick here I will select is Aaron Nola, who, coming off of last year, I have no clue if he has anything left. But you know what it is? It's even year Aaron Nola. In all seriousness, I mean, I think there's a chance he can bounce back. He obviously gives you a lot of innings. So from a points league perspective, I think he'll be a workhorse, and we'll see how much he has left in the tank.
I mean, he'll be fine in this format if he's a 4.25 ERA guy. Yeah. He just can't be the 6 ERA guy he was last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look, we're gonna get some live fire views of Aaron Nola. He's gonna be pitching for Team Italy in the World Baseball Classic, so we'll get a look, at least one real competitive start from Aaron Nola.
I did see a tweet earlier today that said one of his fastballs hit like 94 miles per hour, and it was the hardest he had thrown since, I don't know, like April of last season or May. So
okay,
it seemed like a good little nugget there that, maybe the arm's feeling good there for Nola. And, his velocity has been trending down, and I don't think it's going to go back up by any means. But if he can kind of sit in that like 92 mile per hour range with that great curveball, then probably could still be at least serviceable. And with my first pick of round 16, I selected Braxton Ashcraft. So another one of these Sparps here. Lots of upside with Braxton Ashcraft in the Pirates rotation. He was a prospect of note. He's got 2 different fastballs, 2 different breaking balls. Really good numbers in the minors as well. So excited to draft Braxton Ashcraft. And then we got Noelvi Marte and Isaac Paredes, who currently doesn't have a job, but hopefully he will get one.
Well, he has a job.
Yes, it's to grab water for everybody.
Not an everyday job.
I think he'll play close to every day, just bouncing around. I am warming up to that idea more and more by the day. Like, he's having a good spring. The Astros have to recognize he's one of their best 4 hitters. So I have to make a pick. I'm going to take Shane McClanahan. Now, I read this yesterday. I read this about his performance yesterday. That kind of changed the way I looked at it. And I don't have my notepad opened up because I had to restart my computer because I was having some computer problems. Well, yes, but beyond that, not taking that necessarily at face value. Okay, so let me just get into it because I'm speaking about it cryptically. McClanahan averaged 3 miles per hour less on his fastball than the last time we saw him, and he's coming back from, all kinds of
two different surgeries,
issues.
Tommy John surgery and biceps nerve repair last year.
Not a good development on its face. His last pitch he threw, though, in that 2-inning stint was 96.7 miles per hour. And it wasn't just, they said, it wasn't just an isolated comment. Yeah, I'm working, the goal is to work at 80% intensity. Who can calibrate that even? This is the quote that stood out to me. And again, it's not the only one. It's how everybody in the Rays organization is talking. But this is what McClanahan himself said. To me, it was actually kind of fun. I was like, I feel like I'm barely trying in terms of effort compared to where I'd been previously with the intent of everything and the intensity of max effort. That was fun. So, that's a more revealing comment to me than just, I'm taking it a little easy this spring. He noticed a difference in terms of how little effort he was putting into what he was doing. And we saw on that last pitch, it's still there.
Yeah, no.
No?
No.
96.7?
That's what he used to average.
Yeah,
right. He maxed out at 100.
If he's throwing with less effort, then of course he's going to average less. But the idea, I think, is
but he used to max out at 100. I'm looking at his last start before his second to last start before the injury, because I don't know, maybe he was hurt during that start. His second to last start before his injury in 2023, he had 9 pitches at 99 or higher.
I just don't understand how that's relevant.
I don't see how it's not.
If he's throwing 3 miles per hour less.
Yeah, he's averaging 3 miles per hour and he's maxing 3 miles per hour.
I took those comments to mean he's not going to keep doing that. He's going to throw more like he did on that last pitch.
I just, maybe. Yeah, it's possible that he is
capable. That quote makes it clear, I am taking it easy. This is easy. You guys think this is tough. This is easy.
I'm going to quote the real expert, Dr. Dave McDonald. Players lie about their health. That is just the baseline. Players are
that's a well-crafted lie, though. That's not just that's
players
not a
never come out and say
that is an emotive, in-the-moment response that I just read off to you. That is not staring blank-faced into the camera. Yeah, just 80% effort. Yeah, that was emotive. That was not a rehearsed line.
It's possible you're right, but for me, when we're talking about, and I wrote about this for the FBT newsletter, I think it's on the site in my breakouts column. When we're talking about the specifics of Shane McClanahan's situation, I think we should mention, again, he hasn't pitched since August of 2023. It's 2.5 years of not pitching in active games, basically. He had a second Tommy John surgery in September of 2023. He came back from that, tried to start pitching last year. It's a disaster. He cannot pitch without getting hurt, without feeling like himself. Now, by all accounts, he feels better than he did last year. That's great. I'm thrilled to hear that. But then the one time we've seen him, his velocity's down 3 miles an hour. He's maxing out at what his average used to be. I'm not saying Shane McClanahan
to be clear, he didn't say that was as hard as I could possibly throw on
but
that last
maxed
pitch.
out. He maxed out in his start. We have the hardest we have seen Shane McClanahan throw in 2.5 years is what he used to average.
Yeah.
And for me, it just comes down to my baseline assumption is he is never going to be the same guy or anything close to that. And I need evidence to overcome that. It's the same. It's where I'm at with Spencer Strider. Mm-hmm. I need an affirmative reason to believe, after everything Shane McClanahan's been through at 29 years old, that he can still be that guy. And I did not get that in the first start. That doesn't mean he can't do it moving forward. Mm-hmm. And look, he's going cheap enough that I don't care. Right?
He's where I took him where I ranked him all along. So it's not like it was. I'm just
explaining why I didn't think it was encouraging.
I don't really want any. Well, the comments out of Ray's camp were so overwhelmingly positive that I was trying to see, okay, what are they seeing that I'm not seeing here? And so I dug into it a little more, and the nature of the comments was so different from kind of the Cliff Notes version that I was seeing. And that's what I wanted to stress there. And maybe you don't see it, but that's, who knows?
I would love to be wrong. I'm absolutely rooting against him. Shane McClanahan at his best was about as fun as pitching gets. But for me to buy in, I need affirmative evidence that he can still be that guy.
At 200, though, would you buy in?
At 200 is fine. At 200, I don't care. Yeah. It's more... He was one of the biggest rankings risers from January to February. I think he went from like 250 to 220 in the ADP. And that's where it's like, well, there's nothing there. Like, there's no reason for Shane McClanahan to be moving up. So I think he's fine, 220, 250, 200, whatever. That's cheap enough that, like, that's probably going to be a bad pitcher either way. I'm just explaining why I came out of that start. It didn't give me what I needed to see to move Shane McClanahan up.
All right.
There were some picks.
There were like 2 rounds of picks. Sorry about that.
So I will
good discussion.
Catch everybody up. Yeah, I mean, Shane McClanahan is kind of one of these spark plug conversation players right now. After Scott selected him in round 16, we got Marcus Semien.
184 technically, not 200.
Oh, what a terrible pick.
There was Shane O'Mac, Marcus Semien, Jack Leiter, Luis Arraez, Trevor McGill, Shane Baz, Dalen Lyle went to Chris. Then we got Garrett Cole and Teoscar Hernandez. And then into round 17.
Shane Baz might be throwing his slider again. It's very unclear, but the data showed that he threw a slider for the first time since like last May, and that it was significantly different than the slider he threw last season. And that's something that we've talked a lot about with Shane Baz. When he was a prospect, the slider was his best pitch. And it's not clear if it's like he said he's throwing his slider with his cutter grip and just tweaking it. It looks like they've been reclassified as knuckle curves, so I have actually no idea what that looked like, but Shane Baz is throwing a slider. That's from what Shane Baz said.
Oh, no.
All right. After we are into round 17, we got Zach Gallen, Andrew Painter, Reed Detmers went to Chris, so cornering the spark market there. Matt McLean and his massive spring. Logan Henderson, Daniel Palencia, Trevor Story. Kyle Leahy is a name we have not talked about, but he is a Sparp, and I believe he is in competition for one of the Cardinals rotation spots there. Jeff Hoffman went to Scott. Zebby Matthews, Ryan Helsley. At the turn, I selected Sean Manaea and Emilio Pagan. So I've got one Sparp and one closer. And then Yainer Diaz, Ryan Weathers, Shane Bieber to Scott, and Abner Uribe. So
I did want to add on Matt McLean because I don't know. I've never been much of a believer in Matt McLean, but he is using a different bat this spring. He had a lot of trouble with pitches low and away from him, and so he swapped out his 33-inch bat for a 33.5-inch bat, which does not sound like a particularly big deal to me, but that was something that the Reds broadcasters were talking about the other day, that they were trying to I'm trying to look for reasons why it's not just Matt McLean had a good 5 days to open his spring training schedule, and that is the most tangible change that I have seen mentioned about Matt McLean. So wanted to throw that out there. I am a noted Matt McLean skeptic, but maybe there's something, maybe that extra half inch on the bat is all the difference.
There was something also, it was something in his approach changed to help him against sliders on the outside edge. I can't remember what it was now, but the length of the bat was part of that, just making it a little longer to reach them better, but also a change in approach to deal with them, which I know was a turning point in Austin Riley's career when he was really bad at the start, remember, striking out a ton. And he did something similar, it sounds like, to what McLean is doing.
I remember like the one of the most controversial stories Scott White ever wrote was an anti-Austin Riley one. You remember that?
Well, because he was one of those guys who came up and homered like 8 times in 18 games or something like that, and was just the talk of the town. And it's like, I don't know, this guy's making enough contact. That was obviously
like 6 years ago.
Ancient history.
2018.
It was whenever Austin Riley's career started.
8 years ago.
There've been different versions of Austin Riley over the years.
I was going back through my mentions because someone tweeted at me last night every single thing that they heard about the changes for Matt McLean, but then I guess they deleted the.
Oh no! They don't want their competitors to know.
Yeah, I don't know who sent it, but it was a listener because we were talking about Matt McLean, and maybe it was 2 nights ago. I might have to go further back, but yeah, it was a lot of the things that you mentioned. It was a different bat. I think he tweaked his batting stance a little bit, and so there are tangible changes here that we can look at with Matt McLean that have resulted in a good spring so far for him. After Scott selected Shane Bieber, there was Abner Uribe, Alec Boehm, Jonathan Aranda at 211. That sounds pretty nice. I like that. Jacob Lopez, Addison Barger, Carter Jensen to Chris. Ivan Herrera. I was wondering if one of you guys who didn't have a catcher would select Ivan Herrera.
I was deliberating between Jensen and Herrera. It's just I've already got 2 hitters on my bench.
Well, my first 2 picks were Schwarber and Raleigh. So I was looking at Herrera like
Raleigh,
3 or 4 rounds ago, and it's like there's even if he gets catcher eligibility, there's no way for him in my lineup.
Right, that makes sense. But that is a great pick at this point.
Yeah, no, it's definitely
in a 1 catcher format. I mean, gosh, by the end of April, he could have that catcher eligibility and be a top 6 ranked catcher from that point forward. And then we got Dansby Swanson, and we are into round 19. Quinn Priester and Mike Burrows. Man, I am telling you, this Jake Holland guy, he is crushing us today, man. He's
listening. He's
taking all the dudes, man, all the guys we want. I was
kind of in this draft with Charlie Condon.
I should have
all the hyped guys.
Should have taken Mike Burrows last pick, but I selected Sean Manaea, someone I do like, but and maybe I need to just move Burrows even higher. I think that might be the answer.
I know I'm not breaking any news. I'm not breaking any news here, but man, you know what stinks is waiting on your first baseman. It's just, whoo, that's not a good time, guys. Not enjoying the options here. I'm gonna go with my sleeper at starting pitcher.
I think there's some good first basemen there.
There's some very boring, samey guys who aren't worth taking right now. My last pick, it's fine.
Not really good for a points league. Yeah. The ones that are left, like I'll just say Spencer Torkelson, I think is underrated generally. But
I think Contreras could actually be good in a points league.
2.69 points per game for Torkelson last year. 2.77 for Wilson Contreras.
Yeah. I mean, 2.8.
Either of those are great
from your first baseman in round 19. That wouldn't be bad.
But it's not good.
It's not. I don't think he's somebody. I don't think he's the kind of player that could close ground on the high end guys, which is.
I think he could be better in Boston too. So I think he could maybe even push like 3 fantasy points.
That's the one that's weird because his pulled air rate was like 20% last year. I think it was the second highest of his career. And then if you look at his home runs by ballpark, it was like comically low in Boston. It was like 12.
That's true, but it's also just a much better team.
Yeah, no, better team, great ballpark for batting average. I could see it.
I just think the longer history of Wilson Contreras shows that guy who vast majority of his fly balls are to the opposite field, which would be bad news at Fenway Park for a right-handed hitter.
Yeah.
Again, batting cleanup though for that.
No, I can see
like
it.
The top 3 ahead of him. He's gonna have Roman Anthony and Jarren Duran and
I can see Torkelson being fine. I can see Contreras being pretty good. I can see Munetaka Murakami being useful, even with the strikeout rate, because he's going to walk a lot. He's going to hit for a lot of power. But none of these guys are, one, guaranteed to be good, or two, any better than any of the other guys.
Competition. This is, you have 9 hitter spots to get an advantage over your competition. If you have that big of a liability at one of them, it's huge.
Yep.
All right.
Not that I'm not going to have a liability. I will too.
After Mike Burrows, there was Parker Messick, Roki Sasaki, Xavier Edwards, Trent Grisham, Shane Smith, and Bailey Ober. Scott, you are back up. This is your third to last pick.
I was going to do one thing, but now I think I'm going to do another. Dylan Cruz.
And those are the two options.
Let's just one thing or the other.
Or another.
Yeah, let's shoot for upside with Dylan Cruz. Hopefully he breaks out. I was thinking Andy Pages, Ramon Laureano, Joe Adell's still out there. But that's kind of the issue Chris is facing at first base. In this format, those guys are assured mediocrity. And Dylan Cruz, he wasn't as good as them last year, but you hope he makes that leap. And if he doesn't, you fall back on one of those guys on the waiver wire later.
All right, we are in round 19. We've got 2 more to go after this round, 20 and 21. We'll recap our teams after that.
Though,
take a look.
I will say it kind of got lost in the shuffle as I was struggling to find upside in the outfield. Went with Mike Trout that one round. I probably need to move Dalen Lyle up in this format because he went. And it was one of those.
Yeah, that's one
should have taken him.
He wasn't as good as I thought in this format, and maybe that's just, I don't know. The run production was probably pretty bad in a way that.
Well, two of his
his
first 3 months, he wasn't a true everyday player.
Yeah, I guess I don't know how much
he really took off in September.
Yeah,
which it's not fair to say. Okay, September is who Dalen Lyle is, but in September, let me see if I could find the number real quick. So it was 2.85 overall. I mean, if you've been listening to that's higher than Wilson Contreras.
Yeah, it's low end starting.
339 in September.
7 triples will do that.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be that good all season long, but if we think if you're just look at his July, August numbers, it's like, well, this guy isn't that big of a deal. Obviously, we're factoring in his September a lot in our assessment of him. So I don't know. I'd prefer him to even Dylan Cruz.
And he was closer to like 295 in points per game in his starts. So you can tweak the numbers to push it up a little more.
That does make a difference with the point per game averages. Sometimes you go look and a guy had 19 appearances off the bench while another guy had 3. And it's like, well, that makes a difference when you're doing per game, how much they actually played in the game.
At the turn, I selected a pair of twins, Royce Lewis and Mick Abel.
I just added Abel to my queue. He wasn't my top pitcher, but I was looking at him. Yeah. Very impressive spring training so far.
Yeah, I think he has something like 22 swinging strikes on 89 pitches so far this spring, and his fastball velocity
really good.
Has been up. He's getting a lot of whiffs with that pitch. He was the centerpiece of the return in the Yohan Duran trade last year from the Phillies. So we'll see. I don't know that Mick Abel will be in the rotation to start the season, but obviously has a lot of upside as a stash. And then Royce Lewis, I have Matt Chapman as my third baseman, who's kind of more like a high floor option. So take a shot on some third base upside here with Royce Lewis. And Scott, you are back.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there are any good Sparps left. I think
there are
a lot of
Sparps.
them.
I don't know that they're good, but
I'm going to take Brian Abreu as my second reliever. And, when Josh Hader comes back, if Josh Hader comes back, there'll probably be like a Dennis Santana, Sir Anthony Dominguez type I could pick up. I'll take the upside while I have it. And that's that in this format, everybody is so disposable. Every player you draft is so disposable because this is the format where you have to play the waiver wire aggressively. You have to turn half your team over the course of the season to have a chance. So you take the upside when it's when it's there to contribute, and you don't stress so much when it's not, because the waiver wire is always offering up new things, and you don't want to play it safe.
Yeah. And yeah, you have to play that waiver wire and pay close attention to it, because last year in our head-to-head points listener league, same format, 12 teams, shallower rosters, I was able to pick up both George Springer and Byron Buxton off the waiver wire, which might sound crazy to some, but Springer was barely drafted in leagues last year, and then Buxton got hurt a few times, and I think when he went on the IL, he got dropped, and it was like fairly early in the season. So in a league this shallow, you really got to pay attention to, especially some of those veteran guys that get released onto the waiver wire. So after you selected Brian Abreu, Scott, there was Ian Seymour, somebody I like a lot for the talent. He is a spark, but currently looks like he's on the outside looking in to the Rays rotation.
Yeah, stashes like that are hard in this league too, because you need to cycle through so many. You need to cycle through so many streamer pitchers to start options, that having just a bench spot on a stash, like stashing a guy in an IL spot, different story, obviously, but on your bench,
yep,
I love it.
That's why I'd rather do the Carlos Rodon, Garrett Cole, Shane Bieber stash than the Robbie Snelling stash.
I do think it's infinitely easier to do in a weekly lineup league than a daily lineup.
Yes.
League. Because in a daily lineup league, you really need to churn and burn those bench spots as much as humanly possible. And in a weekly league, you do to your point, Scott, like picking up 2-star pitchers and stuff. But once your lineup is kind of locked for that week, you can have, I think, one guy on the bench. But
and one advantage, I've said it a few times, how much I don't like taking high-end pitchers in this format. If you do take high-end pitchers in this format, it opens up your bench more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to play the streamer game so much. But the streamer strategy is so effective that I'd rather just not have a bench. I know waiver wire. The waiver wire basically serves as my bench because it's so abundant.
Mm-hmm. You know who I think we've jumped the shark on downgrading? I just made the 238th pick, and it's Bryce Miller. I had Bryce Miller as a bust last year. It was a very bad season. He pitched through elbow soreness. He never got surgery to repair the bone spurs in his elbow. I get all the reasons, and then he's dealing with they never specified if it was an oblique. It was just like a side issue, but he's already throwing. It sounds like he might not be ready for the start of the season, but doesn't sound like it's going to ruin his season. Yeah, Bryce Miller with the second to last pick.
Yeah.
That seems good.
He was a top 100 pick last year, and you just got him at 238.
Yeah, that seems
Personally,
good.
I think he's broken, but I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter.
Entirely possible, yeah.
Yeah, you can
it's a no-risk move.
You just drop him. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I have him ranked on. He went. I don't think he was my top ranked pitcher here, but there's no complaining about the pick. It could work out great.
One other pitcher I wanted to highlight here, and I know the Yankees rotation is filled with a bunch of kind of these peripheral pieces, and Garrett Cole and Rodon will be back at some point. Will Warren this spring, his sweeper velocity has been up 2 to 3 miles per hour in each of his 2 starts. He had 6 whiffs on his fastball in his first outing.
Yeah, he's been getting tons of whiffs.
He had 8 total whiffs on 50 pitches in his second outing, 4 on the fastball, 2 on the sweeper, 2 on the sinker. So look, it's a small sample, but the velocity up, and he's getting lots of whiffs. So just thought I would bring that up with Will Warren.
Yep.
After he went, we got Carlos Correa, Joe Adell, Brian Bayo, Bryce Miller to Chris Connolly early. So there's another potential stash for you. Yep. Spencer Torkelson, Spencer Schwellenbach into the last round of the draft. So throw him on the IL.
That's fine.
He's back in July or August, whatever it might be. Pete Fairbanks, Kobe Mayo to Chris, starting opening day third baseman.
All those boring first basemen are still going to be on waivers. Let's see if Kobe Mayo can do something here in April.
You guys are doing Wilson Contreras dirty, man.
Look, but he's almost there's 8 picks left. He's probably not going to get drafted.
Yeah, he's not.
So worst case scenario, I'm going to drop Carlos Rodon and not drop, but put him in the IL and
just to prove you wrong, Chris. I'm going to take Wilson Contreras.
Maybe.
Robbie Snelling. There is another stash candidate to start the season, I would assume. Nick Martinez, and one of those Sparps I was referring to, I don't know if he's good, but he's
we're beyond the point of Sparps I care about personally. Not that Nick Martinez couldn't be a streamer in this format.
Yeah.
But that's all he could be.
I think especially on the Rays, it's going to be 5 innings every time out.
That sounds right. All right, stick around after the draft. We'll quickly recap our teams, and you guys can let us know in the comments who has the best team among us. You will decide. And there you go, Chris. Wilson Contreras just got drafted.
Boo!
I didn't even have to do it.
It's okay. I know the guy who picked him listens to the podcast, so I can't get mad. We appreciate your support and your spite.
I need a week 1 starter at third base with my last pick here.
Oh, geez.
And even for a league this shallow, it's for 1 week, so I don't care that much, but still.
If the Rockies are at home, you've got Willie Castro staring you in the face.
I just don't like I can't pull up the schedule. I just don't like that one of these guys is going to end up being drafted because I have to slot a third baseman in.
Yeah,
I'm going to do Jordan Lawler. If he makes the team, there's upside there. If he doesn't, I'll swap him out for Miguel Vargas or Colt Keith or whatever for that 1 week until Bo Bichette slots in as my third baseman.
Mm-hmm. All right, we are 1 pick away from me, and Mr. Irrelevant will be, just because I want him to be drafted and get him in the minds of people with this injury to Hunter Green, if Hunter Green is out long term, is Rhett Lauder, who I believe would take his spot in the rotation. Former 7th overall pick back in 2023, and had a great minor league season in 2024. So I think he's a name that should be on our radar now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. He was technically in competition for Chase Burns, and I don't know that any of us was taking it that seriously. But I think it was more serious than. I don't think it was entirely unserious, and the way Rhett Lauder has looked through his first 2 starts made me a little nervous. I think the likeliest scenario is Hunter Green ends up on the IL for some length of time, and so it's probably a moot point at this point. You can draft Burns with as much confidence as ever, but Rhett Lauder is making a case.
Mm-hmm.
Rhett Lauder today, 3 shutout innings with 3 strikeouts, 0 walks.
Yeah, he's having a very good spring. I made the comp to Andrew Abbott. It's a different version of that. Abbott, extreme fly ball pitcher. Lauder, a pretty good ground ball pitcher. But that mid-3s ERA, useful whip, probably less than a strikeout per inning type of thing. I think Rhett Lauder could do that.
10 whiffs on 43 pitches, 4 on the slider, 4 on the changeup.
Yep.
I don't know. Rhett Lauder, I think he's on the radar. So that is a name that we need to know. All right, let's quickly recap by taking a look at each of our teams here, and I will pull it up for those watching on YouTube. And we will start with Chris's team. He was drafting 3rd overall in this one, and let's go. Into the hitter part of the team, we've got Carter Jensen, Kobe Mayo, Jazz Chisholm, Jose Ramirez, Francisco Lindor, Roman Anthony, Brandon Nimmo, Kyle Stowers, and Christian Yelich. On the bench here, you have Connor Griffin and Dalen Wild. So I know your first 4 picks were all hitters, right, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think it turned out here?
It's fine. It's fine. I'm not in love with it. For my first 4 picks being hitters, I would probably feel better about it, or I would probably wish I feel better about it. But look, if Lindor's himself and he misses a couple of weeks, if Yelich is as good as he was last year, if Roman Anthony takes that step forward, it's going to be very good. It's just, I wish I was more.
Let's not forget you have Connor Griffin on your bench.
I have Connor Griffin on the bench. Dalen Lyle could be a good starting outfielder in this format. It's a good offense. It's not a dominant offense, I think.
Well, it's really just first base. Yes. Jazz Chisholm stud at 2nd. Jose Ramirez stud at 3rd. Lindor stud at short. Anthony, I think in this format, we didn't talk about it that much, but
it should be.
He was on his 162 game pace last year was just 18 home runs, and yet he averaged nearly 3 points per game.
Yeah.
So
he's got to get a little better, but it could be an impact player for sure.
Your second and third outfielders, look, I like Nimmo in this format a lot. Stowers average 3 points per game. They're not studs, but they're must starts. Yeah. And Jensen, I think, has huge upside at catcher. So, like, I feel great about your lineup with the very notable exception of first base where
it's going to be Kobe Mayo and cycling through until someone is decent. I thought about Andrew
might
Vaughn.
be Andrew Vaughn,
Yeah. Thought about Wilson Contreras.
Nolan Shanwell is ultimate bottom end scenario.
I thought about Charlie Condon.
Interestingly enough, your pick of Connor Griffin, if he is up on opening day and he just like breaks out, you've got Lindor at shortstop and Yelich at utility. So it's like, I guess it's, trade value or whatever, but interesting pick there.
Would be great if Connor Griffin had like a really good week and a half to start the season. Lindor comes back and I can flip Connor Griffin for a first baseman.
Perfect. That's exactly what I was thinking. On the pitching side of things here, you've got Cole Reagans, Jesus Luzardo, Chase Burns, Sandy Alcantara, Carlos Rodon. Your relievers, you have Reed Detmers and Cody Ponce. So going with the two Sparps there. And then on the bench, you've got some upside with Parker Messick, Grayson Rodriguez, Bryce Miller. So you didn't take your first pitcher until round 5, and it looks pretty good.
I think it's fine. It's risky, with Reagans, Luzardo, and Burns at the top of the list. I think Sandy...
That's a good top 3 as far as I'm concerned. A true number 1, a true number 2, a true number 3, and the number 3 has number 1 upside. Or at least
talent,
number 2.
Yes. In talent, it's potentially three aces. But
the depth concerns me a little more than the top end for not spending, not having spent a lot. I mean, you did get a true ace in Reagans, but
I think Rodon, hopefully he's back relatively early and is himself, which is not a guarantee. Even if it's not reconstruction surgery, it's still elbow surgery and things can go wrong. I like the upside of Grayson Rodriguez, Bryce Miller, and Parker Messick, but there's a decent chance opening day Parker Messick's not in the rotation and Bryce Miller's almost certainly on the IL to start the season, in which case I have 0 starting pitcher depth because Rodon is going on the IL, Bryce Miller's going on the IL.
-1.
I will have to make some pickups, but there are, I have no idea what the matchups look like, but looking at the guys who didn't get drafted, Kodai Senga should be useful. Tyler Mahle, honestly, if they're at home, I think he's going to be pretty good. I don't think he's going to be great, but I think he'll be useful.
Yeah, there's always depth.
Yeah, there will be guys.
All you need is depth. There's always depth.
Yeah. So I feel pretty good about it. I don't think it's like a great team. I don't think it's the instant favorite, but it's pretty good.
I think the important thing to remember in a format as shallow as this is every team is a work in progress. Nobody comes out of the draft saying, that's it. This is my team. So
except during my auction the other day, that was it.
Really, what I try to do, and my auction strategy, I think, shows it even more, is get as many foundational pieces as you can. Just rock solid, never going to be moved, clear differentiators, and work magic around them. Like, try to find more of those guys in season off the waiver wire. Hope you landed some in drafts, but you need as many of those true studs as you can get, and try not to leave yourself with a total black hole at a position. That's really the only 2 things I worry about doing in this format.
Before we get to Scott's team, World Baseball Classic update, Travis Bazzana on the board. Let's go.
He's got such a weird swing, though.
Yeah.
Like
him and Chase DeLauder.
Yeah.
Guardian's got some weird swingers.
Yeah, it's like he's like falling away from the ball as he's swinging. It's very odd.
The bat speed seems pretty legit, though.
No, that was a no doubter that he just hit. And he had a hit earlier. I think he had the first hit of the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah. He's got multiple hits so far in this game. That's Travis Bazzana with Team Australia of the World Baseball Classic. Let's take a look at Scott's team. He was drafting 9th in this one, and he's got the big dumper, Cal Raleigh, followed by Freddie Freeman, Bryce Terang, Jordan Lawler at 3rd, just to fill in until Bo Bichette gets 3rd base eligibility. Mookie Betts, and then in the outfield, we've got George Springer, Mike Trout, and Dylan Cruz. Oh, and Kyle Schwarber, I should probably mention.
My first round pick.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did not realize you had Cruz as a starting outfielder.
Yeah, that's my black hole. So
Yeah,
you got
for
first
sure,
base.
yeah.
I got my third outfield spot. And really, I don't feel great about Trout as my number 2 either. Now, the rest of the lineup is awesome.
Yeah.
They're all foundational pieces, guys that are immovable.
You didn't
except
mention one
for
of them.
Which one?
Bo Bichette.
Yeah, no,
I
Frank mentioned it.
Oh,
Frank,
okay, you mentioned him, okay.
I'm counting him as one of those foundational pieces at third base.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just that second and third outfield spot, and that's a good position to go weak at least in a 3 outfielder league because there are so many emergent players there. So I feel better. I hit pitching so hard, tried to build up so much depth there that maybe I cost myself a better second outfielder. And I don't know. We'll look at the pitching staff and see if it would have been better taking a actual good second outfielder. But I'm not unhappy with this.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the waiver wire, you've got look, if Chandler Simpson's hitting leadoff for the Rays, he could be great. He walked 3 times today.
It was between
Ramon
him and
Laureano.
Cruz for that third spot. Yeah,
Ramon Laureano has been a starting caliber outfielder for the last year and a half or so.
considered him as well.
Justin Crawford could get there.
Yep.
The trio of rookies that are still available, actually 4: Dylan Beavers, Owen Casey, Chase DeLauder, and Carson Benj. Carson Benj could be really good in points.
Mm-hmm.
He's a homer too, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
he had his first homer today. So yeah, there are. If you need to find depth, starting pitcher and outfield will have depth in a points league for sure. With how shallow these rosters are.
It hurt, honestly. The Profar suspension hurt because he's so good in this format.
Yeah,
I wanted as my second outfielder one of Nimmo, Hap, or in the past I would have said Profar, one of those 3. I had 3 bites at that apple. Nimmo went pretty early here, and I just missed out on Hap. There was no Profar anymore.
I mean, I'm open to trade, Scott. If you want to get that, we could do it.
Let's look at the pitching. Let's look at the pitching.
Take a look at your
Because I
pitching
didn't
staff.
take one until round. It was Pavetta. The first one I took was that 9.
I'm not sure. Round, I think
yeah, it was pretty late. Yeah,
round 8 it might have been. But you do have Nick Pivetta, Cam Schlittler, Tatsuki Mai, Brandon Woodruff, Bubba Chandler. Your relievers are Jeff Hoffman and Brian Abreu. On the bench, you have Robbie Ray, Joe Musgrove, Shane O'Mac.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
and Shane O'Bieber.
Shane O'Bieber.
A couple broken down Shanes.
Shane O'Biebs.
So let's just pretend Bieber and McClanahan aren't there because they are lottery tickets. I still got my 2 bench pitchers are Joe Musgrove and Robbie Ray. Musgrove I like a lot. Robbie Ray for 2/3 of last season pitched really well. Pavetta as an ace is, it's not anyone's idea of an ace, but then Woodruff, Chandler, Schlittler, and lots of upside there. Excess on my bench. I don't think my pitching is a problem here at all. I think I don't know if maybe did I take Robbie Ray over Ian Happ? Maybe that was the move that I could have done differently to feel better about my outfield. But that might be the only thing I would change. Nope. Happ went in between my Musgrove and Ray picks, and I definitely wanted Musgrove, so I think that's fine.
Remember what we said yesterday about the 0 RB football teams? Like, Scott, you have a great team, but you don't have an ace.
I don't have an ace. Yes. I don't think I need an ace is the point.
Fair enough.
Especially in this format.
In hindsight, we said we would check back on this. Were you okay starting util catcher? Do you think your team turned out all right?
Yeah, I think so. I would have had more options. The utility hurt more than catcher.
Yeah.
I would have had
I think your outfield would definitely look
Josh
better if you had a little
Naylor
more flexibility.
And there is a
absolutely.
chance Kyle Schwarber gains outfield eligibility in season.
He did last year.
Might not be a huge chance, but
It happened in like May last year, I think.
There are so many
there was
hitters
an injury that happened. That's why.
who at cost I would have been thrilled to take if they weren't blocked at utility. But I'm not really complaining about the way my lineup worked out. I think I'm going to stick with ranking Schwarber as a first rounder in this format, and Cal Raleigh is a borderline first rounder ahead of Ketel Marte.
All right, let's wrap up taking a look at my team here. And I was picking at the turn, so pick 12 out of 12 teams. And let's dive into the hitting side. First, we've got Drake Baldwin at catcher, followed by Bryce Harper, Luke Keeschel, Matt Chapman, Corey Seager. In the outfield, Fernando Tatis, Cody Bellinger, Ian Happ, and then Jeremy Pena at utility. I've got Royce Lewis on the bench to provide some upside for Matt Chapman here. Look, the hitting lineup, not nearly as good as you guys. I don't have like elite standout type players, but I think that they are all players that should do well in this specific format. And again, I went much harder on pitching than you guys. I think based on the pitchers I have, I can totally live and get by with these hitters in my lineup.
Yeah, you don't have the black hole spot. You don't have Scott's third outfielder or my first baseman. You have solid starters everywhere. You just don't have.
It's a higher floor, but not a higher.
You don't have quite as many difference makers. But look, Luke Keeschel might be a 10% walk, 15% strikeout guy. In which
could
case
become a difference maker this year.
Yeah, Corey Seager will absolutely be a difference maker as long as he's on the field. It's just, is that for 10 weeks? Is that for 20 weeks? If it's 20 weeks, you're going to be very good.
And I didn't plan this out, but taking Jeremy Pena, he can slot in for Seager if Seager gets hurt. So
absolutely.
Yeah. On the pitching side of things, as I mentioned, I went very hard with pitchers. I got, I think, 3 in the first 7 rounds or something like that. Definitely 2 in the first 4. I got Garrett Crochet, Chris Sale, Dylan Cease, Nick Lodolo, Emmett Sheehan. And then relievers, I've got Braxton Ashcraft for a SPARP and Emilio Pagan as one of my closers. And then on the bench, I've got Aaron Nola, Sean Manaea, Mick Abel, and Rhett Lauder. So, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's awesome pitching staff.
Yeah, Emmett Sheehan is your number 5 is awesome. And Rhett Lauder, Aaron Nola, Mick Abel, there's some real upside on the bench. Your pitching staff, Sean Manaea too. Yeah. Your pitching staff is by far the best of us.
Yeah, none of us messed this up. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, I think so.
I think
it just depends how well we play during the season.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting, Scott, to kind of juxtapose the teams that you and I put together because, again, you didn't take a pitcher until round 7 or 8, whatever it was, and I took 3 in the first 7 picks. And I think there are multiple ways to win. I think both of our teams turned out pretty solid all around. So, All right, there you go. We are going to wrap there. And for Scott, Chris, I am Frank. Thanks as always for tuning into Fantasy Baseball today. Please make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. And we will be back again tomorrow night. Bye-bye.